4:30.
All right, welcome to the Town of Darien Sewer Commission regular meeting agenda of Tuesday, February 7th, 2023. We are calling the meeting to order at, let's say, 4:33 p.m. The meeting is in person at Town Hall. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of January 3rd, 2023. I think I heard somebody whispering that they didn't find anything wrong with the minutes. Was that you, Peter?
That was me.
Oh.
But then maybe I didn't inspect them enough.
Anything?
Yeah,
Want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve as
Okay.
presented.
We got first.
I'll
We got a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes as drafted?
All right.
Aye.
I'm voting because I did watch the meeting.
And I-
0 edits, by the
You're
way.
abstaining?
No, I
No,
watched
she
the
wasn't.
meeting, so
I
I'm
like,
voting.
I like Penny's
You
title.
don't even have to. Rely on
Post-meeting
your other
report.
commissioners.
Right, but I watched it while it was happening.
I like that.
exciting.
Well, I was having surgery, so I didn't want to risk getting COVID.
So I just want to point out 0 edits on the minutes. Pretty good. All right, now we're going to go to our sewer user fee appeals. The first one is 3A, 6 Thorndale Circle, for the Nielsen Company. Anyone here representing the Nielsen Company today? No, I read the memo from staff, which basically said that one of the tenants at 6 Thorndale Circle needed to flush a piece of equipment, so they used a bunch more water, and that bunch more water that they used went down the drain, as confirmed by a dye test done by Mr. Tacone. So that was all the information that has been provided to us that we have in front of us. So does anybody want to make a motion on the appeal for 6 Thorndale Circle?
I would make a motion based on the evidence presented and lack thereof that we do not sustain the appeal.
Okay, we got a first to deny the appeal.
I'll second it.
Bob seconds it. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of denying the appeal? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you, Anthony, for the additional follow-up, and thank you, Penny, for the additional write-up. Makes our job easier. All right, now we're going to move to item 3B, which is 3 Turnabout Lane. Katina Espiazu, is anybody representing? Okay, if you would please come to the podium and tell us your name and address.
Yep. My name is Carlos Aspiazu. I'm not residing in 3 Turnabout Lane anymore. My current address is 18463 Northwest 24th Street in Pembroke Pines, Florida.
Okay, but you're here for
And
your...
I'm here for my mother.
Okay, and she's still residing
Yes,
there.
correct.
Okay, good, no, that's perfect.
We're very sorry about your father, too. I know.
Appreciate it. Stepfather, but treating me like a father, so.
So we have another, we do have a little bit more information. We weren't able to figure it out last time, but it looks a little more clear to me this time. There was a leak.
Correct.
The leak was repaired perhaps back in April of 2022. And I think what we didn't have last time is the latest water bill, which shows domestic water use for October, November, December, January, back at a level where we would expect it. So it's clear that the leak has been repaired.
We also have a letter from the utility, right?
Yeah.
Correct. I have the letter as well.
Aquarium? No,
Yeah.
I believe that this was here. We have no bill that shows it was repaired and, you know.
No, I meant the water bill.
Oh, yeah,
Showing the
but I'm
usage.
saying we now have no repair bill or.
Because it was not a service provider, it was a family member that repaired it, and
Correct, one of my
I-
uncles.
Oh,
I haven't started sending my mom repair bills yet, but maybe I should.
okay.
And the leak was outside, correct?
It was right next to the shed. We have a pipe.
Yeah, so it
that
wasn't
runs-
going into the,
Oh,
Into
even-
the drain,
even better.
correct.
Thank you for that note.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Susan, do you have a motion?
I move we adjust it to the,
Oh, yeah, actually, what are we gonna adjust it to? That's the other
I
question.
didn't,
I'm gonna say we
Hold on, we'll get
adjust
it,
it
we'll get
to the minimum, isn't that what they usually?
let's see.
Well, they're 3 and 4s, so.
They paid,
Wait a minute.
not necessarily. So let's look at their water use for the last 4 months. 4, 4, 5, 3, so that's an average of 4. 4 times 12 is 48. 48 times 688 is,
Like 260 something.
Isn't that close to our?
48 times, probably.
Pretty close.
What is our minimum?
680, 267, 36 or 38.
What's our minimum these days?
4 times 12 is
Like I
48.
said, it's 267, 36, 38.
48, well, it's 4 per month, so that's 48 per year times 688.
Yes.
I got 330.24.
Oh.
I also,
Okay, 330.24. Okay, and that's higher than our minimum.
That is high.
yes.
Yep, okay, so, back to you.
Okay, I will make a motion, we adjust it to 330.24.
Okay, do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
Before we vote, do you have anything else to say? You've done a fantastic
Yep,
job on the
don't lose now.
presentation.
You guys as well. I just have the amount here stated on the letter from the company. It says that the amount of the adjustment is $179.90.
Well, that was probably
That's the
from the
water-
water
That's the
bill.
water.
Yeah.
That's the clean
Yeah.
water,
If that was
drinking water
any help to you guys.
Thank you. All right, we have first and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the bill will not be $2,676. The bill will be $330.24.
Okay.
So that pays for your flight, the vacation. I hope you weren't here for the cold.
I hope you get dinner out of it or something.
I was first.
First, you could
Is
go
there-
Peter.
Peter.
I think he
Is there
beat
anything
me.
else that I need to sign?
Peter beat me, yeah, with a buzzer.
So you will get an adjusted bill straight from the,
she?
yeah, she will get an adjusted bill straight from the tax collector. She doesn't need to do anything in the meantime, except wait for the adjusted bill and pay when it comes.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, item number 4, 7 Sedgwick Avenue Residential Development. Mr. Maslin,
Good afternoon.
what information do you have for us today?
For the record, Robert Maslin, I'm the attorney for the property owner, 7 Sedgwick LLC. Kurt Lowenstein is here from Land Tech. He's
Hello,
the
sir.
engineer, I'm just a lawyer.
Okay,
Just to kind of recap where we are, we've been to the commission before, and we've been trying to work through the process of analyzing the existing sewer system's capacity and condition the best we can using the Arcadis report information, analyzing that and figuring out where we are relative to this project when it connects and what that does to the flow and the capacity, et cetera. So I think the best thing would be for me to just let Kurt take over and talk technology to you.
okay.
I will tell you, I'm vehemently opposed to getting information the day of the meeting.
If I could just respond to that, sir. This is a work in process, and these
But
are...
how am I supposed to disseminate it
You're not.
instantly?
You're not. We're just going to go through this to let you know where we are and how we got here. This is not the final report. No one's asking you to act on it. This is just follow along handout, really, and that's all it is. This has a long way to go.
Attorney Maslin, is Mr. Lowenstein
Just
replacing
put it
Mr.
down, I'm not gonna look at
Sumalides?
it.
I'm sorry?
Is Mr. Lowenstein replacing Mr. Sumalides?
No.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Sumalides has a family matter
Oh, okay.
out of town
I'm
that he
just
had to attend.
trying to keep track of the players.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
He can. Hi, Pete, if you're watching.
Thank you, everyone. For the record, my name is Kurt Lowenstein. I'm a licensed professional engineer in Connecticut with Land Tech. I obviously am not Andy Sumalides, as Mr. Maslin has said. Andy has had a little family emergency, so I'm stepping in his place. So we did do some analysis of the Arcadis report that was done, the study that was done for the town, and we have our project location here, and we were asked to analyze, in working back and forth with the town, to analyze 2 points of concern. The first being at the bottom of the Mechanic Street sewer shed, which is what our property resides in, and then slightly downstream in the Boston Post Road, just underneath the train tracks there, the next metered location manhole. So before we get into the capacity of the two study points, let's just recap where we have currently with the site and what we're proposing. Right now, as many of you know, the bank is there, very minimal flow, roughly 250 gallons per day. We're proposing a 22-unit development, which would equate out to approximately 4,300 gallons per day of net increase flow from what is there now. Applying a peaking factor of 4 to that and converting that over to cubic feet per second, just for easy numbers to look at, that results in a few hundredths of a CFS increase, which would represent a very minimal increase from what is currently there today. Study point 1, the end of the Mechanic Street sewer shed. All of these numbers have been pulled out of the Arcadis report, and I have provided in the handout for you the table that we took all the proposed flows from. We analyzed the average daily flow, the peak daily flow, and the peak hourly flow as provided by Arcadis report. The current capacity of the Mechanic Street is roughly 1.4 CFS, and applying the peaking factors into looking at the peak daily flow, although it's not the best number to use, we would like to get an instantaneous flow here, but using the numbers that we have to work with currently, that yields just about at capacity. So there's a little bit of wiggle room in there, but we're not exceeding.
So this is, you're kind of talking from the second box on this sheet.
Correct.
So let me just understand, make sure I understand everything here. So I see you've given kind of what I will call a simple capacity of
Correct.
the pipe at study point 1 based on the Manning's equation, but it's not from kind of a pipe network
Correct.
toward a, like sewer CAD.
Just looking at a
Yeah, so
raw
just kind of a
pipe
simple, this is,
capacity.
get us in the ballpark.
Yep.
Because that's what,
And then the metered flow taken from table 1 from Arcadis I&I report.
And that'll be on the next sheet of the
Oh,
packet
you
you have
provided
there.
the Arcadis table on the next sheet, okay.
Yes, we just pulled that out of that large report that they had prepared for the town.
So, remind me, because this was like a 2,000-page report. The term, this is what I will say, all in, whether dry weather, wet weather, everything is in this metering period.
Yes.
So when you say peak daily flow or peak hourly flow, that is the most water that was recorded by the meters during the entire meter period.
Correct, that would
Okay.
include the I&I.
So that would include the I&I.
Yes.
Okay. And, all right.
So the actual observed flows through that pipe is the second from the bottom line, which would be in CFS.
0.33
The 0.33 for the, let's use the peak daily flow for argument's sake.
Okay.
The 0.33 was the largest daily flow rate that the meters observed.
Yep.
The next line below that, which is the highlighted number, is applying a peaking factor of 4.
So you took all of the observed flow in that system and multiplied that by 4 because, it was a daily flow, so you're trying to get to an instantaneous flow.
Exactly. It would be, if we can get that information from Arcadis for an instantaneous flow,
Yeah.
I suspect they probably have that.
The meter goes down to 6 minutes or something. Yeah, something like that. So they would be able, instead of having to guess at an instantaneous
Is 4X a
peak flow.
normal standard practice?
Yes, that's an
Okay,
industry.
It is
so
on
it's
the-
industry standard.
Well, it is on the projection side. When you're doing a new development, you're trying to come up
Right.
with what's coming out of it. When we actually have observed data down to 5-minute intervals, we should be using the observed data.
Agreed. If we can obtain that data from Arcadis, or maybe it's just something that we need to put, I mean, like you said,
Yeah,
it's a
I
2,000
put
page
the
report.
request into DPW. I have no problem sharing the instantaneous flow data.
It'll be
from
We
our
would prefer to
site.
use that, honestly, because that
Yeah.
is the real reading. I'd rather use real numbers
Okay.
than theoretical.
Let's slow down. So,
Okay, we have daily flow, we have instantaneous flow.
Yeah.
We have peak flow, we have average daily flow, and now we
Yes.
have observed data.
yeah.
So what do these terms all mean?
Yeah.
'Cause
Do you want
I'm
me to
getting-
help? Let me
Yeah,
help you out.
I'm lost.
Let me help
You've
you out.
lost me completely.
Yeah. So if we're looking at the second box,
Yeah,
the top row of the second box is in gallons per day.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just use very simple math, right, to get from gallons per day to gallons per minute, which
Okay.
is the row
Divide by the number of
beneath
minutes.
that, right? Like exactly how many minutes in a day. And then there's two conversions to get from gallons per minute to cubic feet per second. You gotta convert from gallons to cubic feet, and you gotta convert from minute to second.
Okay.
Also, both very simple math. We're
Okay.
not taking any leaps here. So it's basically the same thing to say 216,000 gallons per day is the
Right.
same as an average out to 0.33 cubic feet per second.
okay.
But what they've done is taken a daily number and are reporting it basically in an average for that whole 24 hours of how much was flowing every second,
Uh-huh.
which is a leap, right? Because in the day, you're gonna get this,
Right.
right? You know,
When people get up in the morning,
yeah,
when they get
exactly.
home from work, yep, I
So
get that part.
they're trying to then say, well, because you get this,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to apply an industry standard peaking factor that takes that 0.33 cubic feet per second
Uh-huh.
and multiplies it by 4 to say,
That everyone's
you
taking a
know,
shower and a bath.
yeah, exactly.
At this time
Yeah,
of the
you
day.
you take the whole 24 hours
Okay.
worth of flow and you say basically it's only happening in 6 hours.
And that's
There's a
4.
usual equation between the average of all day to that 6 o'clock or whatever.
Okay.
What time of the day would be the peak in your business?
7 and 7.
7 PM?
For-
Yeah,
for-
when people are getting up for work,
Yeah.
and then when people are coming home
Yeah.
from work.
In a residential sewer shed.
Now, let's talk about the
Which is-
sewer shed we're looking at. What is residential and what's
Well,
commercial?
I want to
in the
stay on these
Well,
numbers for
can we
one
just stay
second
on
for
these numbers
Susan.
for 1 second? Because
So-
instantaneous flow is
so-
the
so-
same as your industry
so that-
standard peaking factor?
Yes, exactly. So
Okay.
that's them trying to say, at any one moment in time, this is how much water is flowing down
Okay,
that pipe.
thank you.
Um,
And now we
and-
have observed data that's going
Yeah,
to give us
so-
our
yes.
instantaneous flow.
I took it
of-
from this simple chart.
Right.
Right, but we actually
Yeah.
had a flow meter in that pipe
Right.
reporting every 5 minutes, right? So if they got that, they wouldn't need the peaking factor, they could just go to the
Okay.
highest 5 minutes.
Is that 4X a residential peaking factor? If some of the uses are commercial, you'd have a whole different ballgame, right?
Typically, when you're projecting out for a design standpoint for a sewer analysis, 4 is the general peaking
Okay,
factor.
no
that
matter
you
what
would
the
apply.
use is
Yeah,
upstream.
when it peaks is
Right.
commercial or residential, not how much the peak.
There's a number of tables and reports where they've kind of worked through these numbers. In certain applications, you may be allowed to use different ones, but typically 4 is the general number that
Okay.
we would
Okay.
use for a design.
What's
And
the
then-
what's the max peaking factor you can use?
The maximum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it?
I've only seen 4 as the highest.
What's the lowest?
The asymptote of that graph kind of ends at 4.
Oh, it flattens out.
Yeah. Really, it's, the larger the watershed, the more it all averages out anyway, and actually you can use less peaking factors the larger you get. This is not considered that large.
Right.
The smaller, you know,
You have
if you got
individual-
really, exactly, you
Yeah.
get it's statistics really, but,
Yep.
Ed, would you have expected it to be a larger peaking factor?
No, he's using the max number.
Oh, I see, okay.
Wanted to make sure he was aware of that.
he was
Oh,
throwing
okay.
You
the
are
softball.
allowed to adjust that peaking factor down
okay.
based on the size of the sewer shed
Yeah.
and so on.
I
So
got
there are things.
There are
you
ways
can do.
to,
But
Okay.
right now,
Look at
you're
it.
looking at worst case scenario.
yes.
Got it.
So that's what
Until
we
we have more information or using an instantaneous flow, we like to think the most conservative. If you were doing a large-scale study of a wastewater treatment plant with millions and millions of gallons per day, then maybe you're looking at something more a 1.5 or a
Yes,
2
exactly.
peaking factor.
I get it.
I agree.
Thank you, thank you.
Now, as your prior, what you said a couple minutes ago, if built, your project would put this with a 4X, if we use that at or near capacity? I mean, we're that close?
Yes, in that, but that's applying, like, we're talking theoretical numbers here.
They have
So
to be.
applying, well,
So
we
we-
will, once we have instantaneous numbers.
It could be
It'll
significantly
likely be
different,
between, you know, the 4 is at the most conservative that we can see. If you if you move one column to the right, for example, and look at the peak hourly flow, That number is 0.44. If you compare that to how we've projected out using this peaking factor, compare that to the 1.34, there's quite a big discrepancy in
Does the
there.
peaking factor include INI?
Yes, it would be on top of what was the metered, which included the INI.
No, but in the industry standard, what percentage of INI is included in that 4X? Is it, because you're just
They-
taking the uses theoretically, there's many toilets, and
It's
they
a great
flush.
question.
And the showers are on, and that's in theory in space. and- and-
They're taking all the INI that happened on the largest flow day for the monitoring period, and they're multiplying all the INI by 4 too.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
everything
Well,
gets
I'm just looking
projected
at, I'm just
out.
like trying to find out what pocket protector we're, what's the industry
Which-
standard? I don't come from your
They're,
industry.
they're taking an
so-
instantaneous flow.
I get it.
Which is businesses, houses, and INI.
And estimating
and
the time-
timing that times 4.
And estimating
Yes.
the time of day that happens at that
Well,
number.
well, they're just assuming,
Seven.
it doesn't matter the time, it's like the worst time,
Right.
is what they're
The
assuming.
4 is trying to
Find
equate
the
out
worst time.
what the worst time would be, because we don't have that
But-
exact number.
So anyway, okay, so this particular pipe, and then we'll go to the next one, is a 12-inch. It's
Yes.
very, very flat.
The majority of that system area is.
Is very, very flat. We're
Yep.
talking 0.15%.
Exactly.
Okay, and so you found that, again, simple Manning's equation, 1.38 CFS.
Can you explain Manning's
Yeah.
equation? I've
So-
never heard of it.
It's how you determine the capacity of a culvert. There's an equation. Q equals 1.49 over N. AR to the 2/3, that's the.
And you have to, you're gonna have to describe the variables.
The variables are the roughness of the pipe, the diameter of the pipe, and the slope of the pipe.
How about the bends?
Not in this version of the simple equation, because, again, they're looking at, you got a manhole, you got a straight pipe to another manhole. What's the size of the culvert in between the two manholes? And that's how they're presenting this
So
calculation.
it's not looking
It's very
at the-
standard.
the Manning's equation of the whole sewer shed vis-à-vis head
No,
pressure.
no, yeah,
from
exactly.
bends.
Velocity, head, you can have head allowance, you can have tailwater effects. Those would come from a more
Scouring.
elaborate kind of network analysis. These are just one pipe at a time analysis.
This would be like a higher level. What you're talking about
Yeah.
would be a whole system analysis where you may have a very flat pipe that, for this example, if you were very near capacity, but why is the water not coming out of the manholes? Well, you could have some head on the system that's kind of help pushing it
Pressure.
through, which will increase your capacity. So there's variables like that when you do a whole system analysis
Yeah.
that is beyond this. This is a very kind of simplistic.
What I
method.
used to have to do years ago, when I installed kitchen ductwork for a hood, you had CFMs, you had bends, and every bend
Yeah.
equaled the
the
extra
loss
length.
in
And
there.
you didn't want it to
Yep.
whistle, and you wanted the grease to leave the kitchen. So I've done all this, but I never did it with water.
Yeah, normally
So-
that's under, and like, so when you're doing force mains, you're calculating
Exactly.
every
Because-
elbow,
Yeah,
the head difference, every
because
bend.
it would increase head
Yeah,
as
'cause
you
that
had
makes-
less
The
bend.
length of the pipe, the longer the pipe, the more.
Because that
heavier, yeah,
increases
yeah, yeah.
total dynamic head.
Right.
But this is an open air gravity system, it's not that.
But you'd still have a maximum amount of pressure you could put in the pipe, given all the things included. The bends would be part of that.
The maximum amount of pressure is if you had
Gravity.
head buildup
Yep.
in a manhole on the upstream side of this pipe, your maximum pressure is the manhole lid,
Right.
right?
That's
So
where
you
it would
can only
pop.
have 8 feet or 10 feet or 6, however, that's how much head you could have pushing through the pipe. Obviously, that's something to avoid.
And that's what we're seeking to avoid.
Yes, that's what we're seeking to
Right.
avoid.
That's
yeah.
why I asked the
But
question.
ultimately, even before it gets to that, we want to know, we would prefer to have capacity. in
I'm
the
just
pipe
curious
itself
how the
in a
math
simple gravity
works in the
flow system.
4X, and just trying to figure it out, because, again, it's not my home playground.
Gotcha.
All right,
So,
so that pipe is the one on Mechanic Street
Just before you get to Post Road.
before tying into the post road.
Yeah.
So, based on using the 4X, not metered, you're saying that pipe is near capacity with your proposed development?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Based on what you're using the 4X equation with the projected instantaneous flow, that pipe would be near capacity?
Yes,
After
it-
your project's built?
Correct. It passes, it's not exceeding capacity,
now.
but it would put it just about at capacity.
Just about?
Using this peaking factor.
How
yes.
close is just about? Is it another sheetrock
It's
bucket full
within,
of water?
it's, If you go down to the next line below that, so that where it says proposed flow, 1.34 plus the 0.03, which is what the net increase that we're proposing,
Yeah.
that comes out to the 1.37 cubic feet per second.
Yeah.
If you compare that to the line below you, which is the capacity of the pipe, which is 1.38, it's 0.01 CFS
So
below the capacity. That's why I'm saying we're just about at
So
capacity.
if your unit, how many units are you proposing, Bob?
22.
So another 8 units and we're over capacity.
Yeah, okay. So
Does that-
I just, you're right with these numbers, but I gotta tell you, that number's gonna change when we get the real data.
Right.
It's
These
gonna
are,
go down.
these are typically overly conservative to
Yeah, go ahead.
actual
No, I understand how
numbers.
engineering works. It's over-conservative, and we build things that way so they don't fail, and they fail anyway. Just throwing, that out there.
That depends on who builds it.
No.
So, at the last meeting, Mr. Similides said twice that this is under capacity, and now you're changing that to say it's not under capacity?
No, we haven't gotten to the second pipe yet.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
Yeah, that once we get to the next study
I'm
point,
going
that's
too
where we'll get
fast,
to that.
okay.
Yeah, I thought he said that point.
And before we move on to the next study point, that first chart that I gave you, because you just asked where is that study point, or where is that on Mechanic Street?
Yeah.
You'll see where the arrow's indicating. It's not on this
Yeah,
one.
thank you for this
For the
map,
study
by the
point.
way. Thank you, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's very difficult with the large scale
Yeah.
of this, I understand, so that's why I want to just
We've
get a
got
little
this
bit
map.
easier
Does this map
visually.
help?
No, this one here.
Well, I know.
About stuff.
Study point one.
This is study point one that
Yeah.
we're looking at
Yeah,
right
no, I
now,
like
or
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
discussing
but
right now.
But this is a blow up of that area, so it might be easier to point to the pipe that's part
Sure.
of this analysis, right?
Is that something they provided? Oh, okay.
This
Sorry,
is,
catching up
no,
slowly.
this is Mansfield Upper. That's sewer shed, I think, Craig.
Yeah, this is only this one, Craig. I don't know, it doesn't match.
No,
I'm
we're
looking-
we're over here.
I'm looking at Mechanic Street on this map.
Oh.
Figure 2-14,
Where's
figure
2-14?
2-14.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at the,
I've got
Oh,
the
here
other
it
one.
is, sorry. This is why we need to see these things ahead of time, because it's very hard to do this
We're-
on the fly.
But we appreciate it.
understandable, I
But I
just didn't want to put it
appreciate
up on a
I will
board and
say
try to
two
be
things
pointing it for you.
on that.
Yeah.
One, we are not taking action tonight,
Right.
so we will have a whole month to consider any action, but I don't even think we're getting there anytime soon anyway.
Right.
Two, I do think it's dense enough that the read-along and
Yeah.
back and forth is helpful to understand.
It is.
Totally.
Just give me a minute to catch
This
up.
would be more than confusing if we just gave it to you and said, read it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, you never know.
So I'm looking at 214,
Yes,
I've
so
got
you're
you
right,
pointed.
that, where Mechanic
if I-
Street meets that shed,
where the M in Mechanic Street
Yeah.
is, there's a red manhole.
that's the study point
That's the
one.
start of the pipe.
Okay,
And that straight line between the two first red circles is the pipe we're talking about.
Yes.
okay.
Okay, thank you. Is the next pipe happen to be shown on 214?
No.
Yeah, yes, I
There's
believe
another
it
red
is. It's the
circle.
last, I think it's
It would be here.
1439 on that map. Believe that's the last manhole.
The little orange one.
The little orange one?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the pipe between 1439 and the one downstream that it's the second study point.
Yes.
Okay, now, let me ask another question related to this. Going back to the sewer shed map,
Which one?
the one with all the
No, no,
colors.
which sewer sheds?
Yeah.
that's what you're
So
headed.
study point one is really the blue, Mechanic Street.
Yes.
And study point two includes what?
That includes Mansfield Upper,
Yep,
Mansfield Lower,
yep,
Leroy Upper,
yep.
and our sewer shed Mechanic Street.
Okay.
So it's
it-
four sewer sheds in one.
Sewer sheds, got it. Lot more effluent.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's,
So-
are we at study point two, is that what we're talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah, we're jumping to
Alright.
study point two now.
Okay.
And that's on the other side of the railroad. Right.
Yeah, it's right in that round. I don't know if I can see exactly where the road, but
I
it's in
don't
that
know.
general
It
area. As you
looks
come under the bridge there, there's a
Okay.
manhole.
It looks
in
it
there.
on your 214, 2-14, it looks like it's on the other side.
So I am really glad that you did show us this. What does the colors mean? Grade
On-
5, grade 4, grade 3, what does that mean?
Oh, these are from the Arcadis report
Uh-huh.
and the level of maintenance that the manhole needs based on their inspection of it.
And
this-
so red is the worst.
Yes, red needs more work,
Little low.
green needs no work.
And the one that's, the one that looks like it goes next,
Yeah.
which is 1487,
Yeah.
is that not studied?
Correct,
Okay,
correct. you know,
And
but
yet, you're
again,
going to go through it
they're-
and make an L, make a turn.
Yeah, they're basically trying to find, like, where are the problem points? Let's get the flattest pipe with the most flow. And so, let's get all this extra water together, find the next flattest pipe, you know, and we'll look at that one.
So you're saying that where it comes from the little red dot that's Mechanic Street?
Yes.
It's gonna go through the next red dot,
Yep, 1487,
and then it goes to 1487.
and then 1441.
Then it does a
So it
90-degree turn.
does a
Yeah,
90,
these
why
ones are
doesn't it
all
go to
about the
1470? Because 1470 comes in at
Because
that
that's
point?
uphill.
Yeah.
So it's going this way?
Yeah, it
So in
takes a
other words,
left.
you're gonna get, at 1487, you're getting
Slammed
a slant, thank you. You're getting a whole bunch of,
Yeah, you're getting,
at different angles.
thank you.
yeah. yeah.
Okay.
But we also don't know the elevations of the inverts in there, could be one's pouring down the other, that usually
Is
have formed
Arcadis recording these
inverts.
One's a
inverts
big
and
drop, yeah.
pipe sizes and stuff?
We have as-built of a lot of it, I don't know if it's all of it.
Is Arcadis recording pipe sizes as they go through and inverts?
Yeah, inverts I'm not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have that
You also
data and we
don't know
can
if it's
share it with
inside drop
this
and
gentleman
outside
here,
drop.
Mr.
We have maps
Yeah,
that
it's
show
that
that
one
too.
right there.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
I've been asking for these maps, so I have to come in and talk to you because this is the maps I want to see.
Well, it would be good to see that 1487, the verticality, the inverts of all the
Yeah.
pipes.
I believe that's
Look.
the big drop manhole
So,
on the as-built.
Drop manhole.
here we go.
That would help, yes.
Those are so hard to read.
I'm
You
never
must
gonna
read those
We don't have
like-
that, do we? We don't
You
have
do
that.
in the back.
Okay.
Your second to last sheet will be this one that we're looking at here.
Oh, there it is.
So where Mechanic
Oh, and
Street
the little
ties in, that manhole that we were just talking about,
Yeah,
This is the one I need the 11 by 17 of.
Yeah. Oh, that's on the.
1487
yeah,
manhole, that's this manhole here where we have this large drop.
Got it.
Which makes
Okay.
sense why it has a red mark on it, because you're getting a lot more turbidity in the water as it's coming down, or effluent rather, as it's coming down.
okay.
Got it.
So it's all slamming together there from different directions.
Exactly.
Stirring itself up and then finding a home going downhill.
Exactly, it's a
Yeah.
big junction manhole,
I don't know if I agree
and then it's
entirely
finding
with
its
the
way.
adjectives without
Well,
seeing
they're
the
not
manhole.
technical.
Okay, how about
Turbid- where
how
does-
about a point of hydrogen sulfide release?
Where does the
Can we
turbidity
Can we
come
admit
from
to that
then,
one?
Well, we
Can
don't know
can
if
we
it's
talk-
a,
can everybody talk one at a time, because it's really hard for me to follow this, and this
Yeah,
is
sure.
really complicated
yeah.
for me. Maybe not for the gentleman here, or you, or any of you, but it's complicated.
When you're, for me, when you're looking, look, right now, we are focusing on a capacity question.
Correct, correct.
There's a bunch of other things that we could be talking about. We could be talking about the condition of the manhole, the condition of the pipe, the condition of that, this, that. We're not talking about that right now. What we're talking about is what's the capacity of
Okay.
the system. So from a capacity standpoint, drops are a good thing.
Okay,
Yeah, You add that volume.
Yeah, exactly, so.
Great.
And head.
Yep.
head
And it's-
being,
and it's- and then there's
how
no-
tall
Fills
the
up
pipe
to a
is?
certain amount.
Head is how much water pressure you have on the entrance to the pipe.
It's not how tall the pipe is, so that the water can go up there before it
Well,
pops
that-
the manhole?
Well, well, head is every elevation, right? It's just how much water is building up on the uphill side of that pipe. We had talked about the rim of the manhole being the max head, because that's when it's just gonna spill out.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
But you also get rid of tailwater effects on Mechanic Street.
tailwater
side.
being,
So if you have water backing up in a pipe, it's not only affecting how much water can get down that pipe, but it's stopping water from coming out from the pipe upstream, so that's
Like
tailwater.
making a river
okay.
on a clog.
So drops are good because they break tailwater
Those are good,
on
they break.
upstream systems.
Okay.
Anyway. So,
Okay,
Looking
before I
at your
move
second
on to
box.
study point 2,
Okay,
is there any other questions on study point 1? Let's just,
I think we want to move on. This is going to take a
Yeah.
while, and we're not going to get any conclusions tonight. We're just going to take the next step.
No, thank you for doing
huge
that.
education now, I'm getting a huge education.
so study point 2, 4 different sewer sheds.
Right.
Coming together.
Mechanics, which is ours,
Uh-huh.
and then we have Mansfield Upper, Mansfield Lower, and Leroy Upper. That study point is a manhole just downstream of where Mechanic Street ties in, which is just about where the railroad bridge crosses. Again, we did the same analysis of the pipe capacity of itself. That's a 15-inch pipe, using the same Manning's equation that we did in the first step, results a capacity of 2.58 cubic feet per second. Again, as we move down now, we're taking the same data from the Arcadis report, now for this new metered location. Yields an average daily flow, which is the left category, peak daily flow in the middle, and the peak hourly flow on the right side of that chart. Let's deal with the peak daily flow. That's the closest that we have for what we would use for a design point. As we work our way down, again, converting from gallons per day, which is directly from that chart, converting it down comes to 1.47 cubic feet per second. Applying that peaking factor of 4 again here, you get 5.89 cubic feet per second. If you just take that number by itself, you compare it to what the 2.58, which is the capacity of that pipe is grossly under capacity in this case.
Or the peak factor has been grossly overestimated.
Exactly.
And we're
Which is
going
the
to
likely
get
case
you
because we don't have
instantaneous
sewage
numbers.
spilling over into the
Right.
road all
Right.
over the place.
And our hope is that we're gonna get you those 5-minute interval numbers.
Yes.
And then you'll come back with new numbers.
Exactly. I anticipate that between the peak hourly flow of 1.93 and the capacity of the pipe at 2.58, that instantaneous will probably lie somewhere in between there.
Okay.
That's a 1.5 multiple then, right? 1.6?
Yeah.
That's it? And the standard's 4.
Well, I think the weird thing that's the idea that we're taking the I&I portion of this flow and applying a peaking factor to it is a little odd to me. I think that's a part of the issue.
Right.
So,
That's
you know,
the existing
you know,
I&I.
Yeah, no, but why would you multiply the I&I by 4, right? The
Right.
thing that
It's just
varies during the day is
parse
when the
that
toilet.
So we're
I&I
just,
out.
really, this is all very nebulous right now because we
Yes.
don't have correct numbers.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why this is kind of going to be an
So
ongoing discussion.
what I would ask from the engineer would be, get the real-time flow data from Arcadis so that we can input some real instantaneous flow numbers. I would also think, knowing where this is gonna head, right, that the more accurate head.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, I caught you there. I had to laugh.
I think a more accurate kind of network analysis, like a sewer cat analysis, would probably be more helpful than just, one pipe at a time.
Gotcha.
As a thought. So that's a recommendation.
And are you talking about just for that
Oh, yeah, like,
downstream network? or
basically getting us through this area, right?
Kinda down Boston Post
A
Road
few
there.
manholes on Mechanic Street and a few manholes down Post Road,
Okay.
Because you got that big drop, you've got, there's-
Sure.
and different pipe slopes even within that stretch,
Mm-hmm.
hugely different, but different enough. Yes, sir.
Is there any thought from the commission to have them do any additional metering downstream or just downstream?
Where were our meters placed?
Looking on here on Boston Post Road, that looks to be the only meter that I can see. It looks like there's one that comes off of the Corbin sewer shed. That's us there. And then.
Well, actually, no, it's really hard to read this map, the big one. You've got, it looks like there's one at Mechanic Street, right? Am I seeing that correctly?
There's one on Mechanic Street. That's the study point one that we.
Yep,
that we
and there's
pulled
one
from.
coming in from Leroy Avenue Upper.
Yes.
There's one coming in from Mansfield Avenue Upper.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one at, your study point 2.
Correct. Oh, I thought you were asking for something downstream of study point 2.
Oh, no, I wasn't.
Okay.
I mean, in my mind, that's pretty good coverage.
Agreed.
I don't know if you, yeah, okay.
Just ask.
So based on what you said, and this is sort of what I've been asking, like, to try and get my mind around, if you have a 15-inch pipe and you have 4 sewer sheds coming into a 15-inch pipe, the maximum based on Manning's equation that pipe can convey is 2.58 cubic feet per second.
That's correct.
And the multiplying factor standard is 4 of that
Right.
to analyze peak flow. So could we, just looking at the pipe sizes, come up with this is the maximum this system can take? and then extrapolate backwards from, and I
Well, you
know
need-
you're looking at
No,
existing conditions.
you absolutely need slope and you absolutely need roughness, so there's two other
Well,
pieces.
no, if you have one pipe and that's all the pipe can fit, and that's the limiting
No.
factor, the one thing. It's like a fire hose. Yeah, more pressure, you could jam through it, but it
No, no,
still
no.
is.
Slope has a,
You need the other parameters.
yeah, slope
Yeah,
has a
right.
huge impact, roughness has a huge
No, I
impact.
get it, but the.
No, it's not even like, I get it. It's
The
like,
pipe
you
size
could
is the most
change by
important
3
thing.
times the amount of water that can go down a pipe depending on the slope.
Because there's so little pressure.
Yeah.
Right, but these pipes are both flat, pretty close to flat.
Yeah,
Right, so if you took
Well-
that same 15-inch pipe and this, all of a sudden, this is at a 10%
Sure.
pitch, you'd be surprised how much flow you
No, I
could
get
fit
it,
through
I get
that.
it.
it's not
bottom
just the
of a bathtub,
diameter.
But the-
Yes, you can look at it, look, like, you can do this and say, oh, an 8-inch or a 12-inch.
You're an engineer, I'm
18-inch.
asking you an engineering question based on this.
So the answer is no, you can't do what you want to do.
Okay, you can't.
You can
can't-
do this.
You could- you
There's
can't-
more variables.
No, no, but you have so much.
And I'm
coming
actually
into
asking
one
for a
point.
better version of this.
All along, I've been asking, how does this whole system affect, and where are the problem areas, and how does it relate to those problem areas? That's a rational question, Craig.
Yes, it
That's-
is.
It's the weakest point on the bridge, where it'll fail.
Yes,
So why is that so complicated?
it's,
Do I need to
It's
go,
not.
go and get a PE to solve this? Or is it a rational question, to look at the weak points in the system and how it relates to the whole system? Is that complicated?
you would need to know the amount of flow at each point
We have meters.
and then the capacity at each point. Yeah, no, look, we could get Arcadis to say, we could say to Arcadis, start from the Stony Brook pump station, go all the way up Route 1 until it ends by gravity, and give me a profile of that that shows the hydraulic grade line in the worst case condition. And they could give it to you, and you would know where the problem pipes were.
Don't we already
Well,
know where the problems are?
we don't have water coming out of our system
Someplace.
unless
They didn't do
something
a
gets
hydraulic
clogged
grade
or
line
something
analysis.
breaks.
This type of study, I would say, is like a high level.
Under high water conditions, we don't have issues with this system?
We don't have water. The issues tend to be the choke point at the pump stations. How much can the pump
Yeah.
push through? But our gravity systems, unless there's like
A clog or
a clog or a break or an obstruction, there's no water coming out of the system.
But we do have water, we do during flooding
that?
conditions down there, there are problems.
Yeah, I mean, if your entire system is submerged in a flood,
Right.
you're gonna have problems with it.
And if you have more.
That has nothing to do with the
Capacity.
capacity of the system. It's
but
about keeping that water out.
If you have more flowing, does that make it worse? When you have floods?
Floods make it worse,
Yeah,
yes. 100%.
okay, well,
But if I
And we
also
have
remember
floods.
correctly, in front of Spring Grove, it's relatively flat. And
Very flat.
And Corbin is gonna add 50,000 gallons a day
They will add,
to it.
yes.
So do we need to extrapolate this study and go further because of the Corbin?
Well, I think, so there's two things. So now we're
Because
talking
you're-
philosophically. Thank
Well,
you for
you're
the
going to
data.
another choke point.
The philosophical
pressure
question is
point.
this. So at what size application requires what amount of analysis? If you want to add an addition to your house and put one more bedroom on it,
Another 150 gallons a day.
yeah, that's theoretical flow.
Well, that's
Am I going
we
to
have
let
to
you
have-
add that bedroom without you analyzing between your house and the Stony Brook pump station?
But this is 28 bedrooms. This is a
Yeah,
28-bedroom
yeah.
house.
Well, so, fine. Well, what did we require of someone that did 100 units, or, you know, at what level, right? How much research is needed? That's a question.
16.
Well, now that we've found out that we're teetering on the edge, I would say the scrutiny's gotta be higher.
Well, I would say, we don't know what we know yet, because the information is garbage because of the peaking factor.
So you're saying that the tables that suggest based on bedrooms and uses, this amount of flow is overly conservative, and you'd rather have real data and work off that?
We have the
Correct.
real, like, it's
No, no,
easy.
Because they're adding a bedroom doesn't mean they're adding another person flushing a toilet.
No, but that's how they.
That's how
it-
systems are
Right,
sized.
but you're adding more people when you're
Well,
adding
yeah, so
22
150
units
gallons per,
flushing toilets.
but 150 gallons per bedroom is based on the assumption of 2 people in that bedroom. And it's based on water flow data from the 60s and 70s,
Right.
right? So,
6 gallons.
so say it's a 25 bedroom, so there's 20 apartments, but there's 30 bedrooms because they're half ones and half twos. Are you gonna have 2 people in every single one of those bedrooms? And, you know, based on 1970s fixtures, multiplied by 4, like, it's conservative on conservative on conservative. But I'm not saying the projections, it's fine being conservative on the projections. I'm talking about, we actually literally know how much water is flowing in this pipe, and we've been talking for 45 minutes based on what
Well,
I
that was what I'm
consider
saying, we're
fake
thinking-
numbers.
Can we get all the numbers? And will Arcadis be reviewing this once they come
I
up
hope
with
so,
a final
yeah.
plan? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right, good.
Yeah.
I'll feel.
What we have talked about in the past is that when we get a technical analysis of something that will support, you know, from their perspective, this development, that we should have now people that have 2 years of experience analyzing our system be the ones to take a look at it and
Right.
say,
It makes a
this
lot of
makes sense,
sense.
or, well, they missed this because I know more about it, you know,
Okay.
whatever. And we've talked about that, and I think, did we get that? Do we have a contract with them to do that yet, or?
The contract is not back yet.
Yeah, okay, but we've asked for it,
We've talked about it.
talked about it, okay.
We had a couple other more important things to deal with,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, where I think this discussion ends up, and this is the critical question, is what if the numbers say you can't add more flow here because the pipe is already over capacity? What if that's, even with the better numbers, right, we get to the point where it says, based on their engineering opinion and Arcadis review of it, this pipe is at capacity? What do we do?
Well, adding capacity becomes a public safety, public health concern, so you can't.
Well, there are some things that Arcadis even outlines in their study as far as I&I abatement. And Craig, I'm sure you've seen this in other towns. It's not uncommon to have, when you have an abatement program like this, if you're adding, you know, X amount of flow and there's I&I abatement, an offset can happen. And actually, in the later page of this, we highlighted kind of 2 potential possibilities in phase 2 and phase 3 of the I&I abatement program that's already been proposed through Arcadis. And my understanding is phase 1 is underway or soon to be underway, but we basically found, just arbitrarily picked 2 spots in there where the amount of I&I that would be taken out of the system essentially by either lining the pipes better or repairing manholes, the covers, or the integrity of the manhole itself, that flow would be greater than or equal to the flow, even with the peaking factor put on top of it, offsetting that. So essentially, if you were at capacity, to your point, we wouldn't be exasperating that problem.
Yeah.
We would be swapping one for the other.
You
in
might
other
even
words.
be
But
able to,
the
so,
question that goes along with that is how long does that abatement hold true? How long is that lining gonna work? Because at some point in time, it's gonna fail. And what do you do then?
Well, a similar program that you're doing now, you would have, it would be.
Well,
a
as you
new-
reline, the capacity does get smaller.
so anyway, to this concept, right, Greenwich and Westport both do in different ways. Greenwich will say, here are 3 projects, developer, I would like you to go complete in our system, so we're comfortable that at the end of the day, there's less water in that system, even though you've built your project, because you've gotten a bunch of I&I out of the way. So that's what Greenwich does. It says, you go do this. Westport says, this is how much it's gonna cost us to do that, write us a check. So we can, you know, buy a contract to go do that work like we're doing now. So there's 2 municipalities in our area that do it, and they do it in slightly different ways. But they use this as a tool to help them get their I&I abatement done. And they're conservative about it. They're not gonna take a, 1 gallon to 1 gallon. It's gonna be a factor of safety, right? So that you can be sure that that amount of water has been taken out of the system. To take any other logic to its extreme, right, you would, and actually, I think Westport does this. When Westport identifies a capacity problem, they prevent any addition, whether it's a single-family residence or an apartment building or a commercial user, until Westport, WPCA, goes and fixes the problem. And then they know how much they spent. And then when people start adding flow, they charge them a ratio based on what they spent.
Really?
Yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah.
Where do holding tanks come in?
Makes sense.
Not here.
Yeah, so
Not
that's
here.
totally a potential solution, right?
Oh, okay.
It's still a solution, right?
And
Because
so holding
again,
tanks
that's
are not
why the
issue.
5-minute data is important. Because
Okay.
the 5-minute data is gonna say, well, actually, every single night at 2 a.m, there's half as much water in this system.
Yeah, we can
So
figure out the time of day.
why are we just taking this residential peak, which happens in the morning and the evening, and just offsetting it to 2 a.m. and
Yeah.
releasing it then? So that
Right.
is another
Okay.
potential solution.
Not unlike stormwater management.
No,
Same idea.
Stormwater.
stormwater, I totally have gotten over the years, but this is.
Same principle. That
Same
would be-
principle, but this is contained.
So getting the right information is super helpful. And I can't wait to
maps I
see
love.
another more accurate version of this at some point in the future. But I think the philosophical questions that this board is gonna have to struggle with are kind of out there.
They're difficult.
Yeah. And we have to decide what is equitable, what is safe and healthy. And, is this an opportunity, right? Just like, the Fresh Meadow approach on stormwater is an
Right.
opportunity, right? You end up in a better situation at the end of the day than where you started, right? So is this an opportunity to do that, right? We don't know. I had a project in Norwalk recently, so Norwalk WPCA looks for 25% excess capacity in their pipes. And we had a situation, we were adding flow and we were eating up that 25% capacity. So we took a old tile pipe and we proposed to line it. The roughness of the pipe goes down because the liner is super smooth and we were able to preserve that capacity. So, Norwalk got a brand new line pipe, hasn't gotten it yet, but they're gonna get a brand new line pipe for 300 feet and they didn't have to pay for it.
As far as the offsite goes, there's a lot of different scenarios that can be played out.
Okay.
If it's needed in this case. I think the next steps, as we've I think we all agree, is we need to get that actual instantaneous data, and then we can come back before you with
Right.
some more firm numbers instead of these are really, these are really talking point numbers, I would say, but
They did
these aren't.
that. They did their job.
They did their job.
No,
Good.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
But I think we need more firm data before we can make a determination of where is the system actually
thank
at.
you
But
for
we
looking
wanted to
at-
get before you and get what's out on the table now and then talk about next steps, which, like I said, I think is, let's get that data.
And
we'll
the
get
other
back before you.
background is, we're moving forward with our I&I abatement program. Another phase hopefully done this year, another phase hopefully done next year. So the amount of water in the system at this spot could be materially different 2 years from now than it is today. Yes, sir.
Two quick things. I'm gonna ask you, do you plan on coming back next month, or what's your thoughts right now? I just want to get an idea.
Depends on when we get the
Okay.
real-time data, so if we get it soon enough, obviously, we'd like to keep the ball rolling here.
The only thing I request, and I'm gonna speak for the commissioners, if you could get us the information, now that you've prepped them, and they know what they're kind of looking at right now, if you could get us beforehand so that we can get it to them
Oh,
a
of
couple days in
course.
advance.
Yeah, we'll
I
make
think
this
that
easy.
would be appreciated.
It will not be included on the agenda unless we get it by noon on Thursday.
Yeah, no, absolutely not a problem. We weren't, by no means were we meaning to insert this into the record night of. It just, like I said, I felt it would be easier to discuss some of this stuff with figures in front of you rather than pointing at boards across the room.
I appreciate it.
And number two is, the Board of Selectmen have this room at 7.
Oh,
Tonight.
we'll be out of here by then.
I gotta
So
be
just
at
wanna
dinner.
mention that.
Well, we're not
Not
gonna,
that-
we're not gonna take more than another half
No,
hour.
we-
So,
Your mic off
Bob,
already, so you're done over there.
Could you also include the rainfall data in the monitoring, that overlay that, so we see spikes with I&I? If they can do that, there were rain gauges installed with their, so if we could just have a sheet with the storm events and correlate it to some of the flows, that would be huge. Thank you.
That's,
well,
they
so
have that in there.
let's,
I think it's in the.
it'll be in there. So we're asking for two things, because I was just gonna get a file dump from Arcadis to Lantex, but you seem to want to see it presented in a fashion that we can consume as well.
Well, I'd love to see just, the daily flows and spikes
Yeah,
and
yeah.
overlay it with.
Which I think they did
potential I&I.
initially in the flow study, so we should be able to.
They do have it. They have some tables that show the events and what the resultant
Awesome,
of that
that'd be
was.
huge.
I
And the lag-
can,
the
we'll
lag
pull that
time-
out for you.
The lag
next
time
time.
would be great too.
So, Attorney Madison.
So what you really need is
Real data.
engineering ease and plain English.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, I can, again, it's a matter of how much time I want to get towards my PE degree to figure this
We'll
out.
get you there.
And, yeah, it's not
But it
far.
sounds like this way of analysis,
No more than some.
seems like it's
Couple of
okay.
YouTube channels.
Craig,
Sorry, Greg.
the way we're analyzing this seems like it's the right way to go.
Look, I think at this point, this is the information we're going to need to consider what's going to be a likely request to connect to our sewer.
But the way Kurt explained.
Yeah,
how
yeah,
we're doing this is-
This is the part that's hard to answer questions without understanding, right?
Got
You
it.
know, and we're trying to get to a point of understanding.
And one of the things to consider that Susan said is possibly some sort of holding tank that could, change that.
I
If
mentioned that
it's
last
an
time as a possibility.
I would
To-
say
to-
we use that as like a,
Last resort.
in my experience, yeah, last resort. That's not always the best if there's there's other methods that are easier and better for the longevity of
Yeah,
it.
exactly. We don't get anything out of them
Well, I don't-
holding
it's
their
not
water
a-
back versus, anyway. To put your mind at ease, Bob, I will say and ask for things that I want. I'm not shy, so.
I don't think any
The
of,
one thing
Well,
about,
I've been here once or twice.
who do you think shy on this board, Craig? Think that went out the door in like the first 5 years or something.
Mr. Hill, do you have
the
something to
one
say?
thing about a holding tank, and like I said, maybe I'm prejudiced, but I would say people in apartments, maybe it's just 1%, tend to put things down the drain that people in a home won't. And if you're living in an elevated circumstance, you're also gonna be more apt to put something down the drain, because you don't think that, or the infamous S runs downhill, so they don't have to, they're pretty sure they're not gonna have to worry about it. So that was one of the key factors I have in putting in a tank, is the fact that you can put a chopper, grinder, comminutor, whatever you wanna refer to it as.
So what we've done,
Well, can't you do that anyway
Yeah.
without having a whole
Yeah.
holding tank for the
Yep.
purpose
what,
of discharging?
what we've done to.
Probably can.
Yeah, one idea to protect the particular concern of stuff getting in the system is actually a septic tank, right? It's a trap. It'll
Yeah, but
capture all that stuff.
they're in a flood zone.
That's true. Yeah.
Does that preclude
Yep,
a
probably.
It
A
doesn't,
holding
it
tank?
doesn't preclude, I mean, at that point, you're in
Be
triage,
sealed.
what's good or what's not good. But anyway,
We have drainage we have to
and
deal
I,
with.
and I've heard descriptions from
Yeah,
these
we know
gentlemen, we need to move along. So we're getting the hook from Ed.
I'm sorry, I don't.
I
normally
will,
do
I
that,
will
but-
say, I've heard descriptions from you, what comes out of our system, and I don't think there's any difference between what people think they can flush down a toilet.
Well, thank you, everyone. I know we took a lot of
Thank you
time up,
very
but we
much.
appreciate you hearing us, and hopefully we'll see you next month, but if not, we'll see you
See
the
you soon
following.
thereafter.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the help in getting the additional information from Arcadis. That'd be very helpful.
Yes, sir. Where are we?
We're
5.
gonna have to- we have two gentlemen with us that, from 246 and Roten Avenue.
Oh, okay, you want to hear them first?
I think that would be fair. I think they sat through the presentation. They were very good about it.
Is this going to be new business?
Is this new
That's okay.
business?
You don't need a billboard.
Ed, is this new business?
It's probably gonna have to be. So would you?
I don't see it on the agenda.
It's on new
It's
business.
not.
Oh, it's under new business.
All right, so I'll make a motion, we move into new business.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
Okay.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to go into new business to talk about 246
That's the letter.
246 what?
Norotan
246
Norotan Avenue.
Norotan Avenue, where there was a 17-foot pipe that dipped so much underwater that the camera could no longer see.
All
Yep.
those in favor?
And there was
Aye.
no, yes.
Okay, we are in new business.
Sue was first, who was second?
Oh,
Me,
it's fine.
Reese.
yeah. Or I made the motion, you
No,
said-
yeah, Reese made the motion, I seconded.
Oh, Reese was first, who was second?
Oh,
Thank you.
It's just a little quicker.
Should I, Okay, oh, this was the letter we sent
Yes.
them.
How cool.
Asking them to appear.
Okay,
Okay, and they have appeared.
and here they are.
Come on down.
Okay. What should we do next?
Step up to the lectern, please.
Introduce yourselves for the record.
Ryan Perone, the homeowner.
Okay,
Adrian Daniel, the contractor who built the house.
okay. Let's see, the videos show that there is a 6-foot section where the camera lens is underwater and a 3-foot section in the old cast iron pipe where the camera lens was halfway underwater. This is an indication of a sag in the pipe, which could cause a backup. We'd like to invite you to the sewer commission meeting. I hope you enjoyed the show so far.
Yeah.
And remind me of the basics of this. Was this one of those, the lateral went in without a permit things?
Yes.
Okay. And that's why we're videoing it in the first place, and we
Correct.
found some conditions that, had Anthony been given the opportunity to inspect it prior to backfill, probably wouldn't exist.
So, all right.
Yeah,
Well, because when he got the information, I was a little surprised. It said, camera underwater. I'm like, how's that possible so close to the end?
yeah,
I went there today, opened up the back, looked in there. So the porch was put on following the pipe was installed.
okay,
It's a concrete porch, so it has like a frost wall, we'll call it.
yeah,
And that's about where exactly this dip is.
okay.
The water, it appears, because I can see it. I mean, it's only 6 feet down the
So
pipe.
you opened up the clean out inside
Yeah,
the
if I open the
house?
clean out, I can look straight down the
Okay,
pipe.
okay.
And I can, with a good flashlight.
Yep.
I can see 6 feet down. And I took a piece of metal and stuff to try to analyze the depth of that water.
Yeah,
It appears to me to be about 3/4 of an inch deep of water
Yeah.
over a span of about this long.
okay,
It tapers back and forth, obviously. It looks like it coexists with the footing of the porch. So I believe what happened was, the pipe was installed, backfilled, but then when they put the porch in, the weight of the foundation must have pushed it down, whatever, maybe 3/4 an inch or so, enough to create this belly. So the camera's not completely underwater. I mean, the pipe is not full of water, is what I'm trying to illustrate to you.
yeah, yeah.
It's about 3/4 inch of standing water in there for approximately
So when we,
3-4 inches.
like, how
3-4
big is
feet.
the, like, diameter of that camera? I mean, it's like maybe 2 inches?
It's 1.5 to 2 inches,
Yeah.
probably closer to 2 inches when you get to the outside.
So, and the lens is probably close to the middle, right? So it would be possible to,
I mean, that's what
that you're-
again, I'm not gonna say I was
Which
pinpoint accurate, but by any
yeah,
means.
That's your fist.
if the camera is pushing down the bottom of the pipe and you're getting water, it could be not half the pipe, it could be half the camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, that's as far as I can see. I mean, I have pictures of the day it was installed on my phone. I think I've given you those years ago when this started,
Okay.
which
So-
would have shown it to somebody if they walked up to the hole, is my
Well,
point.
no, it started because there was no permit, and then
Correct.
you wanted, so my question is, why is there no permit?
All right, so we came to you, I don't know, a year or two ago, whatever, and you said, get it cameraed and get it permitted. Okay, so we looked to hire a company that does that service.
Yep.
When I asked them, hey, can you pull the permit, total roadblocks, like can't do that, can't do this. I spoke to Anthony, and I think the resolution at the moment was to get the camera work done and say, give us the camera so we can at least do that work. But no one ever pulled the permit, because the companies we hired couldn't do it, they said.
Well, but
No,
I
that's
think we need to
after
go a
the
little
fact.
further back.
Okay.
You
Okay.
needed, first you need a disconnect permit.
That
For when
was
you tore the
done.
house down.
That was done,
Okay, then when you reconnect,
Correct.
there's an inspection there.
correct. Well,
which
that never
I'm assuming
happened.
you're familiar with?
I was unaware of at the time. You're talking January of 2019.
3 years ago.
Okay, correct. I mean, my point was it's not last week. It's been up some time. But yes, that procedure was not done.
Okay,
So now the question is maybe remedying how to get around that at this point.
well, no, the next question is, was there a permit taken out on the porch? It was
Yes.
put on top of the pipe because the as-built didn't show the pipe.
The porch was part of the original house project.
Okay,
So it was a new home.
So your pipe goes through the frost wall on the porch in some fashion.
Correct.
How'd you do that?
Probably that I don't know exactly, because I was not, I mean, I'm not the concrete guy who did the work, let's put it that way. So I don't have a good answer for you.
So they may have sleeved it?
I
And-
presume that they sleeved it,
And they
yes.
probably didn't put it at the right height, and there's too much, it was too far down and
I
created a
believe that
belly?
somehow either when they poured it, they just put pressure on it to push it down, or they screwed up their sleeving and didn't do it at the right location. Yes. These
So
are-
that would be,
But the pipe would
That
go
would make
in,
sense to me.
but the pipe would go in after the sleeve, right?
The pipe was there beforehand.
oh, so they formed around the pipe, the existing pipe?
Correct, yes.
Oh.
Yes.
So the foundation guy, he probably scribed around a form and left the existing pipe without really checking the pitch properly. And it has a
Possibly.
belly there when he poured his wall. And it goes right through the wall.
Yes.
Poured, solid.
Correct.
You got a problem then fixing that. That's a nightmare.
I don't see how completely a nightmare. I mean, if I had to fix it, I would dig out in front of the porch at that point
Yeah.
and then free up that concrete around it,
And then-
allowing it to bring back up.
But how would you, is it backfilled behind the porch?
Yes.
So how would you clear that so you could raise the pipe?
Well, you're only talking 6 feet the most. I think it's more like 5 feet between two foundations. So it's not a great distance.
But you got the porch above it.
Yeah,
How
you
you
have a
gonna get
concrete
out?
slab above that.
Is it a crawl space? Can you get
No,
in
that's
there?
a concrete, it's a concrete slab.
What's the size of the service connection? Is it 4 or 6?
It's a 4-inch.
It's 4 inch, okay.
And you're guessing the belly is right at the frost wall of the porch? Through
Yes,
the-
I can pretty much guarantee that based on measurements.
Yeah. Do you have enough pitch to the road? If you dug it up to the road and lowered it and pitched it properly to the road, is the lateral low enough that you could dig up the yard rather than
I
digging
don't know
up
if
the
you want
porch?
to take a look at the photos. I mean, there's 2 of them.
Yeah, it's
Is
hard,
that
tough
one?
to visualize. Oh, yeah, so they just blasted through.
Well, that's the original, that's the house foundation.
Oh, and you left that.
That's existing, not existing.
But the
that's-
house was built in the thirties, right?
No, that's a new home.
Okay.
New foundation, pipe going
foundation.
into the new foundation.
Right.
So it's just, okay. You core drilled that, or how'd you do it?
I think they drilled it.
A hammer drill?
Yeah. All right, but my point was, that appears to me, and again, I'm not doing some fast math, but it looks about 3 feet from the top of the wall,
Right, but from the grade,
from the grade, yeah.
maybe a little more.
Yeah, so it's probably at the very bottom of their excavation.
Well, it looks like the way they core drilled it, you had a lot of play there, and maybe when you compacted it, it actually pushed it down. How'd you waterproof that afterwards?
Hydro cement.
Yeah.
All right, so let me,
And then,
work was done, house is occupied, there was no permit issued. He has acknowledged the fact that that was the case, that there was no permit sought or issued.
correct.
We have expressed our dissatisfaction that that occurred. But on the ground, in the field, in the world today, we have a pipe that's in. It's not perfect, but it is functioning. It is not the responsibility of the town.
That's true.
It's the responsibility of the homeowner, the property owner. Sags can be points of weakness because they can accumulate debris over time, and that could lead to a clog at that point. It's hard to discern how big of a problem is it in, small problem, bigger problem. But it's at least the way we've handled some of these things in the past is we've noticed deficiencies in your lateral.
In the file.
It's in the file. It could be a maintenance problem for you in the future. It's not the town's responsibility. And that goes in the file.
What's the file?
There's a file at the DPW records office.
It's basically where your lateral is, the map, and any notes and things like that about the installation. That somebody later would want to know if they were, for instance, digging on your property, well, where is it? And they can go and check the records and see where the system
If
is. on
somebody
the
came
road.
to us when you sold your house and had
And
the
asked for
wherewithal
it,
to check,
there would
be a very obvious indication that the sewer's lateral is deficient.
okay.
Now, did we get an as-built indicating the location of this yet? Did I forget?
That was supposed to be part of what that company we hired did.
Okay.
Now,
I just don't know.
I'm not 100% sure of what they filed with you guys.
Okay, do you recall?
I don't.
Or did they just give you
I haven't seen
the
it.
disc with the
Okay.
camera?
We,
That's
we
it.
may have it, I just haven't seen it.
Okay.
We'll check with the
Because we
engineer.
wouldn't close the matter until we knew that we had that.
Because when I talked to the company, the hirer, I said, okay, you gotta go out there and camera the line, to do an as-built,
Yeah.
and I need you to pull a permit for the town.
Okay.
Okay, they said, fine with the camera, fine with the as-built. Go to pull a permit, we can't do that. Why? Well, we didn't install the pipe. Okay, I get this cat and mouse game.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, they don't want to accept responsibility, fine. That never happens, from my knowledge, that a permit was actually paid to you guys.
Okay.
And Anthony may be going after that once we tell him that they've come in now.
Yes.
And reach
And
out.
I think,
Let's
I
would-
mean, I'm
we would
just
like
sitting here as
to-
a layman, I think that
Yes,
does
we
need
would
to be
like to
done.
close the loop. I would like to close
Yes,
the loop.
but you also understand where we're coming from, that we want the pipe to be put in there properly, because a backup in someone's house is a public health issue.
I get it, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if you want me to propose what I'm thinking, or what.
Yeah, what are you thinking?
I'm-
I'm curious.
More than willing to listen.
I mean, I was thinking, well, one is you guys gotta figure out what the permit fee is, because that, I mean, if we had done this from
We know
day
the permit
one,
fee.
there was a permit fee. What is that, is my question.
$200.
$200.
You know, that should get paid. That makes sense to me, because I mean,
Yeah.
it's part of the system.
Yep.
Number two, I think, based on what I saw today, I should dig up in front of the porch where it goes out, analyze that spot, which is about 3 feet down,
Yep.
figure out what's going on. There's the point of contention. There's the issue.
Okay.
See if I can resolve it. Most likely is there's some concrete on top of it pushing down on it.
Okay.
Free it up, see if we can move the pipe up. You're only talking 4 or 5 feet, so I don't, and it's one piece of pipe.
So this actually creates it works, right? Because if you pay a permit fee and pull a permit to go touch the pipe, dig it up and touch it, right? Before you fill it back in, call for an inspection.
Fair enough.
Anthony can go out and take a look, see what you were able or not able to do.
Right?
And if you were able to do something, great, it can be noted on the permit log. If you were unable to do something, that's great, can be noted on the permit log, and we can close the hole and close the file.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
No note would be put on the file.
If it's corrected, yeah.
Which I think it can be corrected,
Yeah.
personally.
Anthony's,
I
I would
I
take your judgment on that.
keep positive thoughts for you. No, I'm not being facetious. I'm saying I can appreciate the
Yeah.
situation, and I appreciate you saying that you're willing to do this.
I mean, it's a
Yeah.
10-foot piece of pipe. That's what the first piece of pipe was from the
Yes.
house out. And we're
Going out.
6 feet into that. So my point is, that we're not at a joint, which is more,
Yes.
that's nice.
that's why I'm thinking it's possible to straighten that
Scooch
thing.
it.
Even I-
Yeah, I mean, I really
Scooching,
don't.
I like that word.
It wasn't meant to be funny. It
No, no,
really
I know.
meant that I was
Now,
applauding what you're
it talks
proposing.
about another spot that's
You want nothing
underwater
but good things out of this.
That
You
is-
want it directed.
Yes.
in the old piece. So I don't know what, that was existing.
Yeah, no.
That sounds like a winning proposition.
Where was that,
Fix it.
closer to the road?
So do it.
Yes, I mean, the connection, I think, is,
And that's the old lateral, so you tie
right,
it,
so we came out, the thing talks about the footage and all, but
so you came out 16 feet or whatever.
something like
hooked
that, and
into
that's where
the-
there's a connection to the old clay pipe.
You fern coat into the old clay?
Yes, yeah. Which
So,
I have that photo too here.
Yeah.
Ed, do you require an action, or is the consensus of the commission good enough for now?
Consensus is good.
All right, thank you,
Good.
gentlemen, for
Thank
coming in.
you
We
very
do,
much.
we do appreciate
Thank
it.
you for coming in.
Yeah.
Good luck.
So,
You're welcome
So your
anytime.
proposal is what works. I'll make the motion to accept your proposal, with the big key being that there's an inspection, but either way, before you backfill.
Yeah.
Whether
Pull-
you're successful
Pull the
or not
paperwork
successful.
before digging.
so here's my question. Because I personally can't pull that permit, it's a
The
P1
licensed
ply.
plumber.
Huh?
Licensed plumber?
Right, it's a P1 or something like that.
Yep.
That's who I need to
Yes,
get involved to do that piece.
yes,
We can do the digging ourselves.
yes,
We can fix the concrete ourselves.
yes.
In reality, there probably is, I'm assuming there's no plumbing work to be done.
Probably not.
If you could scooch the pipe and not
Right,
touch
that's
it,
my point.
you're good.
So all I'm really hiring the plumber to do is pull the permit.
Yes,
Unfortunately, yes.
That's fine.
yes.
Fine, we'll plumber do that.
We can get somebody, we're gonna have to find somebody.
Yeah.
Because the person who did the work was the plumber who did the main house.
Yeah.
He just did everything.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a P1. Not sure if that needs to be an S1. at some point.
P7, W9, even a drain, if you got a drain layer license, you can pull a permit.
Okay,
Yeah, he can pull the permit.
okay. All right, so I think we should be able to solve that issue,
Okay.
Cool.
and,
And then I think the last item, close the file, is the as-built.
Yeah.
Making sure we have that.
The
number done.
as-built.
Which I think they should
I
have done
think
it.
you have this, I paid for one, so if you don't have it, you can contact that.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, I think they
Like I
should.
said, they're not sure, so don't.
I get that.
All righty.
All right.
All right,
luck,
so we'll go get the
Good luck.
permit going.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Exciting night so far.
God, it is.
Wild in here.
I understand where the clock is ticking.
Yes.
Yeah.
But can we come back to new business? Or should we
Not right
stay-
now. We're gonna stay on
I'm
our
just saying,
agenda
are
and
we
try to get our
able to?
agenda.
Because we have to
Maybe
vote
not.
to go out of it. Okay, all right.
We're going back to the agenda. We're gonna try to get our agenda done first.
I gave you a heads up, because I know 7 o'clock will creep.
And it's, so if it has
We have
to,
some good stuff on here, but. I hope
all right,
you
so
make-
item number
Well, I
5.
asked to have,
Yeah, come on, Bob, I got
Let's
dinner at
focus.
6:30, I'm out of here.
Item number 5 is the Kensett Lane Sewer Easement Approval and Acceptance of Sewer System Discussion and Action. To let the board know, I am retained by the Kensett Homeowners Association on a matter relating to stormwater. So I'm not gonna participate in the discussion, and I'm going to abstain from the vote. But I'm gonna stay right here,
Yeah.
run the meeting.
okay, my question, and to make it real quick, is do we need to have council look at this before we,
I already did.
Okay,
oh, we did.
Start by asking him.
I'll start right at the beginning.
That's what it said.
Page, I don't know what page it is. I can't see the page numbers.
5.
I included meeting minutes from April 3rd, 2018.
Oh,
Where the
okay.
sewer commission voted to accept the easement based on town council's approval for phase 1.
Oh, okay.
So, but that wasn't good enough because phase 2 is included.
Oh, okay, so they added
If you
phase
look
2.
at the easement maps that are attached in the file, map number, we've recorded the maps, we've accepted the maps. Map number 5434 is phase 2, and map number 5434,
A and B.
A and B, I'm sorry,
yeah.
I was wondering why they were the
A
same. A and B. A is phase
That's
1, B
weird.
is phase 2. To answer Bob's question directly, of course, we went to town council. The easement has been worked on, revised, and approved by town council. And now that we have the easement maps recorded, they're referenced, A and B are referenced in the easement document themselves. It was only proper to come back to you guys and ask for a formal approval for phase 1 and phase 2 and the revised easement document, since phase 2 was never included in your original approval way back whenever that was, I said.
So the only addition to this easement would be like the last line of paragraph 1 where it says there's maps that are on file,
And there's 2.
et cetera, and so
Yeah,
forth.
pretty
And
much,
then
but-
later on, in the second to last paragraph where it references the maps again?
Pretty much, but it was quite stale, so town council looked at it with a fresh set of eyes. It's been years, so.
Spruced up.
They added
Nothing
the
substantial
Nothing
was changed.
they added the A and B, right? Because there's 2 maps,
Yeah.
not 1. All right, I'll make
They
a
added the
Okay.
second map number.
All right.
In the interest of brevity, I'll make a motion that we accept this sanitary sewer easement with both maps, both A and B.
Do we have a second?
Here.
All those in favor?
Abstain.
4-0 with 1 abstention.
And the motion, I heard you say the maps, you're good with the easement
Yep.
document itself?
Yep.
Which has been reviewed and approved by town council. That's part of the motion.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bob. Item number 6 on the agenda, 2 and 11, Phillips Lane Sewer User Fee Rebate, Release of Sewer Users to City of Stamford. I read that one.
That was
an
wild.
interesting
That
one.
is wild.
I mean, come on.
I was trying to find it on the map, I couldn't find it.
Because it's
It is-
not
it
references
is.
Phillips Lane all the time, right?
No, Phillips
Park.
Lane, the circle part is on there,
Yeah.
but these two are the ones that go towards
They're
Hoyt
interesting.
Street there.
Yep.
So what it is these two houses go directly to Stanford?
They are.
No, yes,
Yes.
but they do go directly to Stamford. They go directly to a
Lane or
Stamford
Phillips
sewer, and they're on the west side of the Norton River, but they're still in the town of Darien.
How is that possible?
The
Okay.
river shifted.
So wait a
Now,
minute.
here, look
Oh,
at the
the
map.
river
It
shifted?
did.
Oh.
Look at this map,
That river
which is
And that's
Yeah.
amazing.
And that's a
So,
gravity line?
Yeah, there's a great big interceptor in Stamford running right through their backyard, in between their house and the river, on the west side of the river. And there's
Stamford
two
Pike on
properties.
So,
On our side of the river, not in our town.
There
but on our side.
is a couple of properties on the west side of Norotan River which are Darien properties. I have no idea why or how that happened, but there
crazy.
are a couple of them as you come down the river. Here's two. So Stanford went to these people and said, you know, we've made a mistake, we need to be billing you, and the owner said, oh no, I've been paying Darien for years.
And by the way,
Into
for the record, this is Phillips Place,
Place.
Yeah.
not
Yes.
Phillips
Lane.
Lane.
Right, it's off Oakdale Road. It's over in
Yeah.
Stamford on the other side.
screw up the
You know where
agenda, did we?
Denhurst is?
Oh.
Yeah.
And then there's the river?
I'm
Yeah.
thinking it's the.
So you
No,
go
big
house
over
right
the
there on-
bridge, you go over the
No,
bridge,
yeah.
you're on the
grandmother's
other side of the
house.
river, yeah,
Okay,
It took
Yes.
me a
Sorry, our
minute.
mistake on the agenda.
yep.
Place, not Lane.
It's
Yeah.
Phillips
Okay.
Place.
Yeah.
Bob, in your packet, there's the aerial, I didn't know if you saw that.
I was
I
thinking
did, but I
Phillips Lane
didn't,
too.
I didn't
Yeah.
recognize it,
Well,
and
when
that's
I looked
why.
at the map, I
Yeah.
said, this isn't Phillips Lane.
So this is,
Yeah, no,
I guess
that's-
the town line is in here somewhere.
So
That's
let's
why-
cut to the quick. What, out of all these confusing details,
We gotta
what do
give
we?
them up.
What, we gotta what?
We agree that they will get billed by
By Stanford.
City of
Stanford.
Stanford and not the town of
Okay,
Darien.
even
So
though they
my-
got Darien
my-
addresses.
Money.
My question is, how far back is Stanford clawing back? If they're clawing back 3 years?
Yeah.
Are they
Okay.
really?
That's pretty much standard.
That's
Okay,
standard.
and no, I mean,
I know.
I would
So
honestly.
we're gonna give a rebate for 3 years effectively.
Yeah.
Yes.
and
Yes.
let go
Then
of it.
they're gonna turn around and they're gonna charge them.
Can I get a motion?
I make the
Wait a
motion.
minute, there's a number, where's the, Penny added the numbers together, where is it? 2,000 something or other.
And all,
I
yeah,
didn't see
okay, I
that.
got some numbers for you.
$2,010.60.
Yeah.
And that's for
Okay, 3 years.
Two
number
Phillips-
11, right?
That's 2 Phillips Lane.
and
Okay.
2001
Phillips
64
Place, right?
is
Excuse me.
number 11,
There are two
and
houses.
Yeah.
number 2 Phillips Lane is
Phillips Place.
2010.
Place.
Place.
Are you looking at the right houses?
Huh? 2 Phillips Lane.
Place,
Place.
Oh, wait, whoa, whoa.
Our
But
bill
wait.
says lane on it.
I know.
But is there a place? Are we sure we've been billing them?
do we have the right one in front of us?
Right, because is
Yeah.
there a
Is there a
real
2
Phillips
Phillips
Lane?
Lane?
It was the 11.
I hope not.
There is
Well,
Phillips
let's-
Lane.
there's
There
a
is
Phillips
Phillips-
Lane.
there is a 2
There's
Phillips Lane.
absolutely a Phillips Lane, but the owners of this property are the people
Listed on the,
in this aerial photo on the west side of the river.
Okay.
so we're talking about the
Yes.
O'Briens and the Osgoods.
Yes,
Well, there is a 2
Penny,
Phillips
check
Lane,
that.
just so you know.
Their mailing
Check
address is 11 Phillips Lane.
yeah, it should be.
So how are they
Place, I
getting the
guess.
bill?
They're getting they're getting a Darien address for where they live, and they're getting billed by Stanford for their sewer.
It is a Darien address.
But
Yeah.
That's
but
the
Darren,
confusing
there
part,
is also a 2 Phillips Lane.
Yeah.
This is 2 Phillips Place.
So you want us to make sure that we're doing.
I want to
the-
make sure
Yeah,
that you're not
we will.
correcting 2 Phillips Lane, which is a legitimate Darien address,
Yeah.
as
we will
is
check
11.
I have a feeling 2 Phillips Place and 11 Phillips Lane are the same address.
So just make sure
Let's
that-
just check that.
They've been paying anything, because has
Yeah.
11 Phillips Lane, the real 11 Phillips Lane been
I think
being
this
billed?
is 11 Phillips Lane. I think they're the same address.
I'm with you, Susan. I
There's
think
2, I'm looking at them, I walk this all the time with the dog. There's a 2
Yeah.
Phillips Lane.
this- My block
It's
too.
it's the cute little one that she redid to look like a Nantucket house, is the blue door. And I know there's an 11, it's down further.
Okay.
I just know
That's
this.
4.
Let's
I am
just,
certain you're correct.
you know,
I
they
know
live
right
there.
around the
They
corner.
live right there.
As
These
much
two
as I
guys.
want to, the names are O'Brien and Osgood, and I could have swore the person who wrote the letter was something other than that.
It's a
Was
new
Rowe.
owner. It's a new owner.
Ah,
Well,
Wait.
my
That's how
concern-
this all came about.
oh, a new
Oh,
owner.
so
Okay.
My concern
Wait,
is
who
that
we
you
get-
are, that the billings that you
Yeah,
have
no,
here are not for this
They're not the
place
right
in
ones.
Stamford. They're
Yeah,
not the right
because 2
ones.
Phillips, I'm just looking up 2 Phillips
Yeah.
Lane on the GIS, it's Osgood.
Osgood. That's a
So-
legitimate person at a real
Yeah.
address in Darien.
In Phillips.
So it's gotta come back to
On
us.
the east side of the river.
Yeah,
It's
let's
gotta come
clean,
back.
let's
It's
clean
gotta
it
come
up.
back.
Yeah.
Everything's gotta say place.
Let's try and do something.
And just so you know, our lateral records show it as place.
Yeah.
Notes
Yes.
on there, put
Okay.
on by someone that realized
such a hard
it
time
wasn't
with this.
lane. So,
I do too, but I live
and,
right there.
and
so
Bob,
I
were
know.
you going to reference that we should check to see if Stanford has an easement across our property? Was that, your next question?
Sure,
No, you don't want.
I wasn't
cross that.
actually saying that.
I can't read it on the map, but I wanna check and make sure they have an easement.
11
across
Phillips is
it.
O'Brien.
Could we just put map
Yeah.
and lot number two on, till after, so we
Yeah,
know
I mean,
what
I'd
we're
be
talking
willing to give
about?
it to them for a
Oh,
year
here are the
free.
two. So there, actually, it shows up really clearly on GIS.
Oh, no
Oh,
kidding.
you
You're following my lead.
You like that one
So
there.
it should be,
Unbelievable.
You just
it should
lobbed that
be-
to.
So you're gonna come back to us?
With
Yeah.
it
numbers.
should be Bush.
And just have Penny do the math
UCH,
so that it's to the penny, and like you did, and to the penny.
It
But
should
with the
be
right bills. With the
Bush
proper
and
bills.
Rowe.
We will check everything again and make sure that
Okay.
we.
Cool.
there
Great.
is
And by
no
the way, so
confusion.
it shows really clearly on our GIS system,
Yeah?
the river and the two, and that, those green dots.
Is that where the river used to be?
No, that's probably means there's an easement that the tax assessor
GIS.
picked up.
I'm gonna have to come in with a thumbs
So,
up
I
to
mean-
get the
Yeah.
GIS.
But actually,
No,
it
you
could
go
be,
on,
it
But you're
actually,
not,
How do you, can you
you're
pull
not
up on
sure of the
GIS so
amount,
easy?
right?
They're not always right.
Probably
it
has
could
a
be
link.
a Stanford easement on private property.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right, it could be.
But the
And I'm
amount,
sure it is. There's an interceptor that runs through all those people's backyards.
Yeah, 36 inch, yeah.
Yeah.
the amount shown on
probably
what you
the
gave us is not necessarily correct, right?
You want us
Correct.
to come
Yeah,
back
we're
is
gonna
what
come
I'm
back.
hearing.
Yes.
Right,
Okay.
I want you
That's
to come back with,
We will.
not the bills for the real people on Phillips Lane, but the people on Phillips Place.
So we
Yeah.
until it comes back.
Yeah.
All right, tabling number
And also you
6.
have to, I believe, as the,
I think they pulled the wrong
the
time.
designated sewer commission here, I believe you need to give your permission to release this customer to be a customer of Stanford's. That can be a part of a future motion.
What are they gonna give us, and what's the trade?
I thought they wanted to be in Darien.
You gotta find a Stanford house on the east side of the river.
All right.
What if they want
Item
all
number
our
7.
money back? Good.
Phase 2 sanitary sewer rehab proposal.
Yeah, I put it all in here for, so you all
Yep, I
have
saw
the
it.
reading,
Yep.
Is,
material.
in your estimation, OE Superintendent of Sewers, is this a fair and reasonable proposal to do the work requested?
I believe it is, and I can tell you their estimates or their proposals have, and they've come back, finished the work, they've come under their proposal numbers consistently so far. So I understand they have a little bit of latitude in there, but I think this is consistent with what they actually proposed in their SSES report. We're pretty close to it.
And so the scope of work that they're preparing a bid package for is 13,000 feet of lining, including 160 service connections, lining 10 laterals, doing 3 spot repairs, grinding protrusions on 27 service connections, testing and sealing 160 service connections, doing manhole lining in 45 manholes, doing epoxy lining in 2 manholes, flexible chimney seals. Bob, help me out.
Flex.
Piece of rubber on the top.
Yeah, it's gotta be a rubber gasket
The
that
rubber
goes
gasket,
between the
okay.
manhole shaft and the manhole top, the cap. and stuff.
Okay.
The seal.
So putting
Would be my
sealing,
guess.
sealing 90 with a flexible seal and sealing 35 with grout injection. Redoing 6 inverts. Putting inflow protectors in to reduce splash in the manhole.
Oh, that's cool.
And fixing the steps or stairs in 30 manholes.
Oh, can you just talk about the difference between the cement lining and the epoxy, and why so many are cement? And so, is it that just parging the inside of the chamber?
It is, it really depends on the condition of the manhole. So a better condition, you could use a cemetery liner. When you need a little bit more, I think the epoxy is better, and I think the third step after that is actually the cured in place liner
Yeah.
that they can use in the manholes too.
What's the cost difference? Is it hourly sort of estimate for the parging?
They charge it by vertical foot
Okay.
on all 3.
How much more is it for the epoxy?
I haven't.
We're gonna find out when we get the bids back.
Okay, yeah. I'll let
But I
you
mean,
know.
the question I would throw out there is if the epoxy's 5 times better and it's only twice the money.
So
Do
this
we-
is a-
I think it's 5 times better and it may be 10 times the money.
Okay, all right. Well, that, I didn't know. I
Yeah.
didn't know.
Yes.
But we'll get a better idea when we get the prices for them.
Which is the one we watched in the video?
Of epoxy.
That would be epoxy,
Okay,
Yeah.
because they put 3 coats on
they
there.
did, they put
Yeah.
3 coats. Orange, white,
But
orange.
that manhole was in pretty good shape. I mean, I haven't been in that many, but never been in one that clean
Some of these.
before he started.
Well, they have to clean them first before they do it.
It was all cement. It's like
Yeah.
maybe 15 years old. Rehabbing it.
Well,
Yeah,
20
it
years
wasn't,
old.
it was all a precast thing. It wasn't, brick that had
Brick
been
and
corbelled and, there's however many feet of joint.
Well,
And OSHA
With
doesn't
some-
mind
we don't
that
have a lot of
steps.
precast
So I
manholes.
would,
Would somebody care to
I
make a
would care to
motion
make
to
a
authorize
proposal that we
the
accept
chairman
this
to
contract.
execute the contract with Arcadis?
I'll make a motion, we authorize.
You
You
second?
did, you're
Second.
seconding.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Good.
and who's second?
All right.
That was what I heard.
What else you want to talk about, gentlemen? We're on number 8, superintendent's report.
Let's jump right in. Old Kings Highway South pipelining. They just finished today or they're supposed to, I haven't gotten word yet, but they were supposed, they had one left, the lateral lining on the project. So the main has been done, the laterals now are completed, the benches for the manholes are done, the inspection and cleaning of the force main coming out completed. They have just the manhole lining to do now, which is what we just talked about.
Yeah.
They're just gonna start doing it now. You get a chance, stop out there,
I'd
take a look
love
at it,
to.
see what they're doing. It's, I think it's incredible to see how, they move along. So they're gonna be out there for 2 to 3 weeks.
How many manholes are they doing?
I think there's 18,
Oh, wow.
but I have to check that number, don't quote me on that.
And they're
But
all gonna
there's-
be the fiberglass, the epoxy?
Yeah, and it's supposed to, like I said, it's supposed to be 2 to 3 weeks and then they're done. Hopefully we get decent weather.
Yeah.
A little bit of rain, not gonna
Little
bother
rain.
them, but,
Did that
just
temperature affect them at all? Did they have to stop?
when it
Friday?
got cold?
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't work that day.
No, it got really
Thank
cold.
God.
Yeah, but all in all, they gotta be ahead, they
Yeah.
have to be loving the weather we've had.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah. They would still try to work if it was cold, and I'd be a little nervous about that.
Yeah.
What's really good is our inspector and our project manager, they were out there last week inspecting all the ones that they had done. Sent them back and had them fix a couple.
Do they ever
Yeah.
have a before and after photos, video?
They have video and pictures of everything.
That'd be awesome to get that, just to,
You know that
it's awesome.
2,999 page report?
Yeah,
A lot of it's photos, and they have more.
yeah.
So, I think it's good. I think we have a good representative doing the inspections out there with them, and I can't wait to get this finished.
Maybe we could cull like 10 of before and 10 of after, just to throw here on the table and ooh and ah over it. That would be cool.
Okay?
We could shoot our own jobs video.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
These,
Oh, we're entertaining enough. That guy's funny.
more?
Let's see,
Okay.
what was I referred to as?
All right.
By me?
No, not
Oh,
by
okay.
you.
So it's Stony Brook
By,
floodproofing, we're still going with that.
Someone you were talking to.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. B,
We good?
8B.
Stony Brook floodproofing, we're still ongoing with some of the things. I showed you the photos of the process for the doors. We're starting to plan to do some additional work on the window wells and stuff now around Stony Brook. What I really want to start working on is the generator.
Yeah.
See, we get a price to get that raised up. So Tony's working on that.
And the transformer, correct? Or no? Or is that a bad question?
It's not as easy as one would think to move the transformer. So
Can it be weld?
I was thinking about that,
Oh, okay.
building around it,
Yeah.
Great minds.
creating a,
Damn.
I would be suspect. I would
They
prefer
wouldn't
to,
want that.
I
Why?
would prefer to relocate it and elevate it.
Oh,
Well,
I'm just
yeah.
temporary, more of a,
yeah.
But in the interim, while
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
waiting, a temporary measure for me to build
Okay.
around
I'm
it?
good with temporary.
Okay.
But I still have my eye on, 10 years from now, that being a robustly hardened, fully compliant pump station.
Raised pump
Yes.
station?
So
Yeah.
much goes through there.
100%.
And
I have a picture of the.
Darren will
drawing.
be here to happily complete that for you.
What, are you planning to
This
retire?
has gotta be a good job.
Come
Come
on.
on, hang out for a bit.
No, he just wants me to stay after.
Yeah, it's kinda cool. You put more time in.
Darren, you have C?
Yeah. It's ready?
Yep.
Woodway. I'm sorry, I looked and I don't see the email, so I'll just give you a summary of an email from Ms. Kumarapan at 370 Hoyt Street. She would like us to not hold up her CO anymore for her pool house because the Woodway resident has not done the survey and the easement as required. She doesn't feel it's fair that she's being held up. However, her pool house does connect into the Woodway sewer, the Woodway lateral, before it gets back into her lateral. So both projects are very interconnected. We did reach out to Mr. Bothwell on her behalf. Mr. Bothwell is in contact with his surveyor. The surveyor believes it's going to be another 9 weeks before he gets his survey completed. I believe partially that has to do with some additional work that Mr. Bothwell has to do on his house in addition to the surveyor's busy schedule. I don't think we're being unfair, but on the other hand, we are holding the CO of Mr. Bothwell, his pool.
Oh, so we still have a hammer.
We still have him, we're still holding both COs, so.
It's kind of hard to hold somebody accountable for work someone else is doing, even though he put the whole system in when he built both houses. right?
I agree.
It's very, that's onerous.
That's a little murky, too.
Yeah.
That's true, but I also don't know how she's being harmed. Maybe she is.
Well, she may want to finance it or something, or. who
If she
knows?
was selling
May
her
wanna
house
sell-
or
maybe she
something, I
wants
would
to
say
sell the house.
extreme
yeah.
hardship, but I don't know if that's the case.
So are you suggesting
find out?
that you
I
would
think
tend
it's
to
very
release
hard
the
to-
CO on the pool house because we still have the hammer with Mr. Bothwell on his CO and his pool?
Yeah, I would, in this case,
I'm
unique case.
kind of with you.
Okay.
What do the other members of the commission think?
As long as we still have pull on Mr. Bothwell.
I
I
don't
mean,
think
he
you
also,
can-
he also is
Yeah,
someone who
I don't
probably
think,
pulls out permits in Darien.
Or not?
No? Okay.
I don't think you can condition an approval on something on someone
mean,
else's
it's-
action.
You got it.
anyway.
Is her work completed? On-
Her work is,
yeah.
yeah. And Mr. Bothwell's Woodway lateral running through her property has been there since the house has been there. And her pool house connects into his lateral, is my understanding. And then his lateral goes back into her lateral before it goes out to Hoyt Street.
Because of pitch, yeah?
I didn't realize it was this
Which is why
convoluted.
an
They're
as-built
all,
is important.
it's like a spider.
So we have an as-built from her?
So
We
our
have an
permits.
as-built?
Someone has to be that
And
that
has it been
person.
inspected?
I don't know, I think so, yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I
we
guess-
resolved the condition
The pool
question
houses.
Yeah.
Then
previously.
I think we can't hold her up.
As long as we have an as-built and as long as it's been inspected,
She's done everything she can
Okay.
do
Yeah,
right?
to complete her work.
yeah.
Okay, it wasn't on the agenda as an action
But I
item.
mean, if,
But do you want to add it?
I
Do we
can-
need to add it as an action item, Craig?
Yeah,
Can we just-
I could
Easily
just
turned
take a
into-
nod and a wink, or whatever.
No, I'll make a motion that we.
Go into new
accept-
business.
Okay, new
Two.
business.
Yeah. Go
Back
into
to new business.
Second.
All those in favor?
Cameron,
Aye.
Cameron, Reese, and
we're in,
Hutchison,
Cameron Reese,
Yeah.
and then we're
So
in new
this
business.
is new business to discuss what's the address?
370.
370.
370 Hoyt. Go ahead, Reese.
I'll make a motion that because we've received everything we've requested from the homeowner, the as-built, the cammering, everything that she could do, we accept that as good enough, given the situation, unique situation, to move forward.
So we're gonna allow a CO to be issued on her pool house
So-
while we wait for the final survey from the adjacent property owner, which will be sorted out before their CO.
So that but actually just, if something happened to her property because of what he did, since we've granted her whatever, she might have a claim against him
Yeah,
for damages.
That's their problem.
Yeah, but
She
that's
might have
also-
a claim
Just on,
anyway.
you know,
There's
that-
no physical work to be done, it's just paperwork at this point.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
right.
Okay.
so, okay.
Reese was a
Right.
first.
Reese was the first. The motion is to allow the CO to be issued on the pool house for 370 Hoyt.
Okay.
And do I have a second? He was
I'll
one.
second it.
Two, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, back to superintendent's report.
The
D.
Save the Sound meeting with their engineer that happened after our last meeting, January 11th, we had the meeting. We talked about the 24 items that he had on his review list about the SSES report. We kind of narrowed it down to just the Stony Brook pump station and its force main, and the issues that the Save the Sound folks have with their fears anyway of its condition and its imminent demise. But meeting lasted about 35 minutes. We had a Zoom meeting. The guy was very nice, explained his situation. Lindsay and myself spoke to him about what we were doing regarding the force main, regarding the pump station, and, reinforcing that we haven't given up. Sorry, given up on taking a better look at it and making sure that it's in good functioning condition and keeping it that way. And I say that knowing that, and hopefully you read the letter from them in E. That was the feedback after they got and heard from their engineer on what their thoughts were. So you see where we stand with the SSES report. We feel we can release that as a final now with no changes. So I'm sliding over to E, kind of, so that we cover also the review of the CMOM report that was put out. I'm waiting for comments back from Arcadis. We met with them last week and reviewed the comments from their engineer. We're gonna put something together, but from what we can gather from their comments, there's really nothing that we would like to change in the report, other than a comment on some of their issues, which is, this is a living, breathing document. We are going to meet every year around October to see what we've done, accomplished, what we need to change and update in this program. And then at that time, we'll be updating our CMOM program on a regular basis and make that part of the annual program and the annual report. Any questions on those 2/3 items?
It seemed like a lot of their initial response was just methodology.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, dare I say, it seemed like he wanted to justify his feet. That's just a layman's, I don't have PE after my name, but so.
Well, the nice thing about this afterwards is we're gonna have a roadmap for maintenance going forward and protocols in
Yeah.
place when we're not all here.
No.
When you guys aren't here, you can't guarantee talent level in the future.
No.
But you can set stuff up to make it autopilot as much as possible. And I think it's good that we're getting to that place.
I mean, we have a ways to go with regards to documentation and getting things on GIS and making sure we have access to proper training, all this, but we're moving in the right direction. And I think we're moving a whole lot faster than I thought the Save the Sound folks thought we would.
That's
And I
impressive.
think that's, that speaks volumes to what you folks have been approving and allowing me to do. So we're gonna keep moving in that direction. Last one? Unless you have other questions? No?
Yeah, I mean, so who's gonna respond to memo number 2?
We are gonna Lindsay is taking their
working on
memo, giving me responses back.
Yeah.
I should be getting those hopefully tomorrow or the next day.
Okay.
Then at which time we'll review those with Jane
Okay.
and Wayne to make sure that whatever we send in an email back to Save the Sound, which is, hey, we get it, thank you very much, we appreciate your comments, we're going to dictate this as a final, or we've incorporated a couple changes, now it's final, thank you very much. But I don't think they get another bite at the apple, but we do appreciate their work in looking at it for us.
Will I be CC'd on those communications?
What's that?
Can I be copied on those communications?
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Last one, NEOM conference presentation went very well. I can say Lindsay put together a great slide presentation. I was the straight guy. I did the introduction, I gave a little background on the town, and then she took and ran with it. What a phenomenal job she did. We are very, very fortunate to have the team we have, but actually very fortunate to have her involved in our project.
No,
She has done a lot for us.
I think we should go back and thank you for that, Ed, because we sat on interviews with very high-quality firms, and you were compelling in your suggestion that it's more about the people that you're going to be working with than it is necessarily the pedigree of the firm, not to take anything away from the pedigree of their firm.
Yeah.
But you were focused on the people that you felt comfortable working with, and it's come to fruition. So, thank you.
They were all great. So the presentation went very well. Well attended, I might add, and I was surprised for it was on the Wednesday, the last day, last session, and thank God for those additional educational credits that you need.
Everybody was there. It was there waiting to sign off.
They were coming in, and they don't get the
It's
punch
a
out
good-
until the
it's
end of the
perfect.
program.
It's a perfect presentation for that group. I mean, it's very
Based on
topical.
what you saw there and who you talked to, where do we fit in terms of how far along we are in maintaining and upgrading and getting our system to where it needs to be, vis-a-vis the other towns and municipalities?
Well, we're better than Boston.
Well,
You know,
I mean, there's still combined sewers, right?
If you want to ask me how we are in comparison to towns our size or pretty close to it,
Yeah.
I think we're above the curve. We're on the high end of the curve, but understand, we're running right now.
Yeah.
Where a lot of the towns don't have the ability to run. They don't have the revenue. So they have to play the game of loans from the Clean Water Fund. And do their projects the way that those folks want them done as far as doing the design work and things like that. So I think we're moving along quite quickly. My presentation was one of 4 for that little 2-hour window. So we had 30 minutes. All the other projects were similar in magnitude, similar, but different problems and different how they addressed it. So.
Oh, that's cool. That's great you could go.
Were they all in
Represent us.
Connecticut?
What's that?
All the other towns?
This is New England, so
Right,
the-
no.
some are in Massachusetts, one in
Okay.
Massachusetts, one was out on the Cape area.
Who sponsored this?
This is New England Water,
New England
Neat.
Water Environment
Fire-
Association, is
yeah.
it? NUIA.
NUIA. So
That's
it was
what you
it was a
wanted
great
to do,
time.
They would already have it.
You know, I knew you wanted to go to that, you talked about.
I went once, that's, yeah.
You don't need the CE credits anymore. Mr. Hill,
Yes.
you had mentioned to me before the meeting started that you
Yeah,
did have
I
a piece
tried
of new
to-
business.
I tried to get a placeholder, but
New business once again, going to my motion.
Do you still want to go, or do you
yes,
want to wait?
please. I'll be quick, because
Okay.
it's just food for thought.
Just give me the general nature so we can take the vote.
It would be,
Tease us, come on,
Uh,
sell it.
billing
Delta
by
flows?
using projected flows because of the buildings that are coming online. And what we're doing, and I think we're missing revenue.
Okay.
Okay.
And I will give the quick backstory, walking my dogs down.
Okay,
Corbin-
no, stop.
I'm voting.
Oh, sorry.
I'll agree.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You even got, who was first and second?
All right,
First, second.
walking my dogs down Corbin, after last month's meeting, I realized that on 35 Corbin Drive, where after I suggested it, and we unanimously decided to give them the minimum for the year coming up, I realized that building has 7 electrical meters and 5 gas meters. So it's far bigger than I thought it was. It has 4 2-bedroom apartments and 1,500 square feet of retail/office space.
Is this the one at the end that's done?
This is the
Not
one at
whole
the end, the one at the end
stretch?
that's done. So using the projected flow from DPH calculations, that would cost a sewer charge of $4,545.67 for a year. So us doing the minimum, when you look at it, even at half that is still, I think there's an issue there. And there's gonna be plenty of other buildings that are gonna be coming on the same way. So we need to come up with a system or a format or something so Penny has some guidance, so she doesn't have to shoot in the dark in how she's gonna build buildings that are coming on and have, reconnected to this system. So
Yeah.
I would say we need to use some kind of a percentage of the forecasted flow
Well, we have-
prorated over the
yeah.
amount of the year that it's in.
For dwellings, at least, dwelling units, we have average use,
Yeah.
that we could use. Although the average use tends to be single family, 3 and 4 bedroom.
What we could do, Craig, is use the average use and then make it up, they could come in for an appeal
And then
and level it
level it
at
after the first year.
after the water use has been
Yeah.
figured out.
Yeah. But that doesn't cover then the commercial space that would come online.
Well, what?
Well, the commercial space is only 0.1 gallon
Per
per
square
square foot per day.
Yeah.
So that's
Unless-
that's
unless
much more on the minimal.
unless the rest
It's
of it-
more
I-
the
the other thing I
occupancy
will-
rate of the apartments that's the unknown.
What I will point out is those health department guideline numbers are max days.
And
so
that's
taking a
why I
max
would,
day and going all year round. with it.
that's why I would
Yeah.
not, but I'm saying, even if you had,
Half
even if
that,
you're saying
whatever, yeah.
half of that,
Yeah, yeah.
so even if you're saying a quarter of this, a
Some-
half a year, a half of that,
Using some
would still
data,
be $1,000
we need to-
and we charge them
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether
267.
we look at the data we have or look at some other data, we need to come up with what we think is a fair estimation.
Yep.
When someone says, okay, I've got my CO, I'm allowed to discharge, but it's, August, and I'm gonna get the year for free, unless we assess some reasonable amount that can then be
Level.
leveled.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say something on the lines
But that
of,
would be for, I just built a single-family house and I'm getting my CO in September,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
well, but so I would be thinking of proposing something along the lines of,
Peter has a thought.
Well, I'm just wondering I wonder if those leases for those apartments are gonna have a water charge, Gonna break the bill up, are they?
I don't know how they.
Well,
They may.
they may have sub-meters after the main meter,
Yeah.
but that's,
I mean, they're allowed to, some people.
yeah, but we don't care, right? We don't want to get into that.
No, that's their building.
Yeah, we want to build that property one time, and if they
So
want
we-
to break it up and.
To Bob's
that's
point,
up to them.
we just need to come up with a fair number, maybe it isn't
Yeah.
the 100% number, but something that's reasonable in between, not free for not the minimum charge for.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not a lot of money, but it's material. when-
And I would tend to aim a little low, because I'd
Yeah.
rather not be given money back, but.
well, that's why I was gonna say something along the lines of
50%.
50% of the
Of the
project,
flow.
wait a minute, a
Prorated.
prorated fee of
Yeah.
50% of the projected
Annual.
annual flow, and go from there.
Prorated by how many months there are left.
Yes.
Yeah. So you want to put that on the agenda for next month to talk about?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up so
Yeah.
people had a chance to
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
think about it.
anyway, yeah, good.
Because we're gonna be paying for it.
Do you guys have any questions about that?
I just heard a large sucking sound.
Well, I was just trying to give
No,
Penny guidance,
I-
because
Yes.
otherwise,
Penny and I had a discussion about, well, not this exact thing, but pretty darn close, where, Federal has some of their residential coming online, and their commercial properties coming online, and we're trying to figure out where the water meter is. Is there meters for separate, like the restaurants possibly, and maybe the apartments have just one meter for that? So we have a lot of digging to do. Understand, it only has one address.
yeah.
That's where we're gonna run into the problem with the tax folks downstairs in billing.
Wow.
So we have a little bit of digging to do
But how do
to
they do it
see.
with Avalon? Avalon has one bill and they do it themselves. I asked Penny that recently.
No, each unit has their own water meter.
Yeah,
Do they?
but we bill one
Yeah,
person,
in a-
But you
Right.
bill one
Yeah, like-
person.
and then they bill their
Right.
clients.
Yeah.
So how is that different?
Well, they have separate meters for each one of the
Yeah.
units.
They
But
have
we
to
don't care how
because.
they,
But these,
how they divide it
I'm gonna
up.
guess federal did not put in separate meters for each
I
unit,
don't
for
know.
water.
I don't remember.
Maybe for gas, electric.
Gas, electric, yes.
But not water.
Definitely.
Isn't that funny?
Well, it's gonna be
water
up
and
to
diesel.
them to figure out how they're
Yeah,
going to divide
Exactly,
it up.
but when you start to put all these buildings together on one address, how do we go and manage that, right?
You're
Some
gonna name it-
residential, some commercial now. I got mixed use.
Well, yeah, because she has, there's a number of addresses that she
Yeah.
showed me that all get combined in
So
one.
is there a
Do
different?
these residential,
Oh,
do
so
we
you-
play the 5-month rule on this?
Yeah, or whatever.
Wash your car in an apartment?
Maybe it's just actual.
Water your grass, fill your
Ed,
pool?
Maybe it just goes to actual use, treat it like commercial,
It-
and be done with it.
That would require maybe some change in our,
But,
Oh, mixed-use properties is
Mixed-use
even another
properties would be
question.
treated-
That is
yeah.
just in terms of normal billing.
yeah.
I mean, to me, mixed-use, you would do it 12 months.
Wait a
Yeah,
minute, you're
actual use,
considering an
yeah.
apartment building mixed use?
well, it's got the commercial. If
residential
he's got
commercial.
one bill
Oh,
coming
no,
out.
see, I would call it commercial.
No.
It's a commercial entity.
Well, no, I'm
Yeah.
fine if you want to say it's a mixed-use building that we're going to treat under our commercial guidelines.
Yes.
I'm fine if you want to say that.
Okay.
But the fact that you have residence and commercial in the same building, by
Doesn't-
definition, is mixed use.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's
thought-
just the definition.
As a fireman, I call it a taxpayer.
There you go.
So cool. Put
So
that
we're
on
gonna
the-
talk about this more.
We're gonna have to.
Yeah, okay.
And, you know, I'll sit with Darren and Penny, and
Well,
I gotta
we'll
run.
go with Bob's
Come on.
thoughts on it, we'll see if we can come up
I
with
think the
something too.
one- the building
She may
question-
reach
I
out
mean, if
to
you have a better one, I'm
Mixed use
all
is
ears.
12
I
months.
just,
Let's build on that. Let's build
I
on it.
just didn't, I foresaw her having to kind of,
All right.
She was having that kind of,
It's
yeah.
not ringing.
She was
Well-
struggling today.
and I was talking to her and I was like, I'm asking her
Get
for
ready.
information. I'm trying to make your life
Come on,
easier,
Peter.
but asking for the information, I'm
I
making
gotta
it more
be somewhere.
difficult. I'll make
2
a
minutes.
motion to have Peter ask for adjournment.
I oblige you by saying we should adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, aye. Good night, Channel 79. Thank you very much.